Good evening. Welcome to the November regular Board of Education meeting. We are glad you are here. A couple quick reminders. Before we begin, please keep the aisles clear during our meeting to allow members of the school system and sheriff's department to be able to move about. Also, except for when honoring our flag, our opening prayer, and participating in the call to audience, please remain seated during our meeting. We hope to have a productive and efficient meeting, and your help is greatly appreciated. Ms. Bowie, would you please call the roll?
Good evening. Pete Wildebohr.
Present.
Melissa Mason.
Here.
Josie Barnhart.
Here.
Pat Bradford.
I am here.
Stephanie Craybill.
Here.
Hugh McManus. And Stephanie Walker.
Here.
Thank you all for being here this evening. At this point, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, I'll give it to my left, and
Okay,
I guess
second.
I'll get the second right there. We have a motion to approve and second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Bradford.
I would like to pull and postpone until our next meeting, item M as in Mary, under the consent agenda.
Item M. My phone.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we're talking about, let me get down here, finally get there, the MOU with the Blue Ribbon Commission on the prevention of youth violence, also called Voyage. We have a first and second. Any further discussion? Ms. Walker.
Well, I'm just curious why, that's all. I mean, I know y'all didn't have information last time.
Still don't have it.
Oh, you still don't have it. I know there were discussion about, they have been funded by the endowment, and I think their 990 is pretty easy to find.
And there left.
Their 990 was pretty easy to find.
Okay.
I guess
So
that's the only reason for pulling it.
anything else?
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Ms. Craybill?
Yes, just wondering, what more information are we going to have next month that we don't have this month?
Ms. Bradford, what other information are you looking for?
We'll know that when we have it.
I don't understand what you think you're missing.
A better understanding of the program and what needs for our students they're going to meet, and just down that line.
Okay, so Mr. Wildebohr, tell me how to go about here. Could we pull it off of the voting agenda and still hear the information that Ms. Farnham has in front of her, and then we can decide if we're going to vote on it or not?
We did that at the agenda briefing meeting.
We have a motion and a second right now to remove it, so we have to vote on that.
Okay, so then I would like to amend the motion to not postpone the discussion, to postpone the vote.
Okay, there's a motion to amend the original request. Is there a second?
Can I just ask, it's going to be on the agenda review? Will it go back on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, and we will have a discussion then, okay.
Yes, ma'am?
I don't know if there was a second for the.
There was not a
but
second at this point.
I just have a point of discussion because my colleague asked. So for me, I think I brought up during the agenda review, the accountability metrics with MOUs and nonprofits working within our school system. And so I would like for us to kind of streamline that process. I know there's been different issues brought to concern of that. The effectiveness, one MOU that was new to us last year is Port City United. And without going into detail, when there's an issue with individuals of nonprofits working in our schools, I think we need to have a set understanding of what that expectation is for the district. And I think that we can do a better job outlining that. So for me, that's why I'd like to hold this item and have further discussion on it next month.
Okay.
So, Mr. Wildebohr,
Ms. Craybill?
if that is the rationale, then there are other MOUs on this consent agenda that we should pull off for the same reason, right? If we're concerned about the fidelity of our MOU process.
That could be, but this is the one that we have put in front of us to discuss. So we have a motion and a second. Ms. Bowie, this is to pull and the item M and to discuss it further next month. Ms. Bowie, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Barnhart.
Yes.
Ms. Mason.
Yes.
Ms. Bradford.
Yes.
Ms. Craybill.
No.
Mr. McManus.
Yes.
Mr. Wildebohr.
Yes.
And Ms. Walker.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 6-1. Is there any other discussion? Ms. Bradford?
I would like to add to the agenda under old business B, a discussion of our legal representation.
Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
C.
Would be C. Okay. It would be item C. Is there a second to add discussion? I think this is, their contract is up next month, so we could discuss it, now and whatever. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, you have first and second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Wildebohr, I never even heard the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, the motion was to add a brief discussion of our legal representation to this month's, as you know, the contract is up. I think you had actually mentioned that to me also.
Yep.
But we can go ahead and discuss that and vote on that. Okay.
And do we have, I don't see anything in here that we could review. Like, suppose we were to vote no, we don't have anything else in our back pocket. So we shouldn't have to make decisions because we have nothing in our back pocket. So why can't they just do it in December? Because the contract's good through the end of December, right? And let the new board have a say-so in that?
We could definitely do that. That's what we're going to vote on. Ms. Walker?
So I would ask that if we do have any kind of short discussion, it's under information, because I don't think I'm prepared to talk about whatever details we're supposed to talk about. I mean, I wasn't expecting it, so, and that's
Same.
something we can put on agenda review and talk about in the early December meeting. That's my theory.
So are you amending then her motion to, because she said under old business, you'd like to move to
Oh,
information?
yes, I would like to amend it to put it under information.
Okay, so is there a second to move it to information? Anybody want to move it to information?
So can I just ask?
I'll second that. I'll
Okay,
second
there we go.
moving to
First and
information.
second. Okay, further discussion on moving the discussion of the attorneys to information. Ms. Walker?
And because it was not something that was expected, we didn't talk about it in agenda review, and I know it's something that's kind of timely, but I'm not prepared to vote on any action item here, because I don't think we should be, I don't know if it's in board norms or not, but I don't feel like we should be doing that to ourselves, trying to add things that are this important on the agenda when no one has the information. So I would like for it to be under information just for that reason,
Okay.
for a brief discussion.
Okay, Ms. Bradford, you had just this discussion of moving it to information.
I just thought it would be on there because we like to do things in a timely fashion. And if we wait until December, there's not enough overlap time if we were to make a switch. But we, in terms of fidelity to our current board attorneys, they should know what our intentions are.
Mr.
That was my point in putting it on. I thought it was going to be on there. It just seemed logical, but I think with all that was going on, it just didn't happen. And it's something we need to deal with because the next time we meet will be December 3rd.
I'll get back to you, but Ms. Mason
Okay.
and then Ms. Walker.
I guess
My hand's up again, too.
Okay, I'll get you after Ms. Walker.
Thank you.
I guess my question would be, what exactly would we be voting on? There's no contracts or anything like that. I understand we definitely do need to talk about it for sure. But I guess just honestly, what are your thoughts as far as what we would be voting on?
Go to Ms. Walker.
That was kind of the point of it. I just think something that's important, we should at least have a more robust discussion at agenda review perhaps, and then, like I said, put it on the meeting for December. Because it's being put under an actionable item place, I worry that there's going to be action there should not be at this point. I don't think it's right for us to do that right now.
Ms. Craybill.
Yes, that was my point as well, is our board norms, which we changed, said that we would let people know in a timely fashion, and letting us know at the approval of the agenda is not timely. And if any of board members had a concern about this, then we should have talked about it at the agenda review, or the board chair should have made the executive call to put it on. So it's just not fair for people to keep bringing those things up at the last minute, so nobody has a chance to do any research or look at, I mean, I know that Ms. Bradford sent an email asking for some numbers, but that wasn't, but there was nothing in there that suggested that we would be using that information tonight in a vote.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Ms. Barnhart, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no problem having a discussion, and I also hear what my colleagues are saying out of respect for, not having a contract in front of us to look at and debate. But I think to understand the timely nature of this, I think it would be fair to say at the agenda review to have an actionable item to discuss this.
All right, so in front of us, we have the discussion or the addition of the amendment from Ms. Walker to move this discussion, if we vote to have the discussion, to information. Ms. Bowie, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Barnhart.
No.
Ms. Mason.
Again, this is to move it to information, not whether we're going to have discussion or not. That's the next vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Bradford.
No.
Ms. Craybill.
Yes.
Mr. McManus.
Yes.
Mr. Wildebohr.
Yes.
And Ms. Walker.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes, so we will move it to information. Now, whether we will have a vote to see whether we have the discussion in the first place. So again, we discussed this. Again, this is to discuss whether or not, well, the attorneys. All in favor of discussing the attorneys this evening without a vote, please signify by saying aye.
No.
Aye.
Oh, aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Okay, all opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, that's 5-2. So we will have that, we'll add that. With that, we are still looking for a motion. We have a motion, though, to approve the agenda. Is there anything else we want to add or subtract? Hearing none, all in favor of the amended agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Carries 7-0. We have several things. I'm going to go ahead and lump them together because I want to highlight several of them. We have our moment of reflection, invocation by Eric Moulin, rector of St. John's Episcopal Church, and that will be remotely. Presentation of the colors this evening will be by the Ashley NJROTC under the direction of Lieutenant Colonel Robert Reeder, Master Chief, let's get that right, Matthew Deschamps, and Principal Michael Perez. And if you'll notice today, in honor of Veterans Day, we will have all of the branches of the armed forces represented. So that's really, really cool. So I appreciate you guys being here to do that. The national anthem will be done today by the members of the New Hanover County Secondary, Middle, and High School Honors Chorus. We'll be doing our national anthem, and then the Pledge of Allegiance will be done by Ms. Bradford. So we would ask for our rector to lead us.
Let us pray. God of wonder and words, who inspires learning and curiosity and who ignites the intellect of all people, empower the work of this Board of Education with wisdom, discernment, and humility, that the children in our care may thrive in true knowledge, that educators may be empowered and continually inspired, that parents may engage in the enterprise of learning with their kids, and that our entire Wilmington community may joyfully take ownership for the advancement of every student, to the glory of your name and to the blessing of the world. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to start over here. If you guys would, you young ladies would introduce yourselves to us, please, and let us know what school you're from and what grade.
My name is Mia Gonzalez. I'm from Myrtle Grove, and I'm in 7th grade.
My name is Savannah Johnson. I'm in 7th grade, and I'm also from Myrtle Grove.
My name is Elijah Greason. I'm in 8th grade, and I'm from Myrtle Grove.
My name is Maggie Lecklider. I'm from Myrtle Grove, and I'm in 7th grade.
My name is Lila Gamble. I'm in 6th grade, and I go to Myrtle Grove Middle School.
So all of these children that just performed are all from Myrtle Grove, and they auditioned for the North Carolina Middle School Honors Chorus, which requires them to prepare a piece on a specific voice part, alto, soprano, tenor, bass. They perform in front of a judge, and then if they are selected, then they get to perform alongside 180 so other students that were selected across the state. This year there were over 700 children across the state that auditioned, and our 6 children, we're missing one, Isaiah McDowell. He wasn't able to be here tonight. These 6 were the ones that were selected for middle school from across the state, so we're really, really excited for them.
Thank you all for being here tonight, and awesome job. Very, very great. Let's give one more round of applause, please. And our color guard, look at all these folks in color guards. Awesome, awesome. If you again would introduce yourselves, please.
Sadie Ingram, I'm a junior.
Mason Riggs, I'm a junior.
Reese Perry, I'm a senior.
Leah Tuscany, I'm a freshman. Gabby Rimsky, I'm a freshman.
Thomas Durant, I'm a sophomore.
Callie Dearso, I'm a sophomore.
Olivia Albertson, I'm a sophomore.
Maggie Moss, I'm a freshman.
Master Chief Deschamps, retired naval science instructor. Sir, on behalf of the NJROTC, New Hanover County Board of Education, Superintendent, we'd like to present you a certificate of appreciation.
Thank you.
Certificate of Appreciation, Purple Star Award. The certificate is proudly presented to New Hanover County Schools for your participation in the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction Purple Star Award Designation Initiative, and for demonstrating military-friendly practice and commitment to military students and families. Signed, Superintendent, Department of Public Instruction. Sir, this is Sergeant Eugene Ashley is the first school in New Hanover County to attain the Purple Star Award, and there's a lot of other schools that are starting to get on it. It's a military-friendly to help out military families that are in this school. So we'd like to present this. I'd like to have Sadie Ingram present this to the Board of Education.
Can I ask you all to come up here for a picture? You get right in the middle. You get right here in the middle. You hold half, I'll hold half.
You're taller on
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, until 2 minutes, yeah.
Making sure you guys are not in the picture.
Just up there?
Witness protection, yeah.
All right, we are going to continue with the approval of the minutes. Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
We have a first and second. Any discussion about minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Passes 7-0. Recognitions.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to share with you some of the individuals and groups that make NHCS an amazing place. We're excited to share with you the newest series, Character in Action. Every day, there are students, staff, and volunteers doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. Tonight, and in the future, we want to highlight for you what right looks like. The people and groups that we showcase didn't ask to be recognized. They show compassion, courage, and character every day because it is who they are at the core. Our first recognition is a lady that sees almost every student every day. Her and her colleagues come to Coddington each morning to get ready for the staff and students. One day, she saw one of her students in need. She stopped what she was doing and took the time to be present. No one knew of her actions that day, but one other person did, that student. That student went home and told their parent. That parent sent a letter home, or sent a letter back to the school, letting everyone know what a wonderful person she is. Let's see her video.
This year, we are talking about leading with heart, and you have done that so well. We have a parent that has sent us such a sweet and humbling letter about how well you take care of your children. And we wanted to recognize you and tell you thank you, and you get the very first challenge coin.
You are a great example of child nutrition employees, and we really appreciate it.
I love all my kids. They make my day. I do have another job, but I could look forward to coming to this job every day. And it's because of my students and my parents.
For the thoughtful and compassionate way you shared your time with a student, we award Ms. Wanda Rumbau our very first Character in Action recognition. For our second recognition tonight, let me set the stage for you. You're at a football game between crosstown rivals, the Ashley Eagles and the Hoggard Vikings. It's a hard-fought battle on the gridiron. All of a sudden, play stops. There's an injured player on the field. Everyone is waiting and watching and hoping for a good outcome. The Eagles and the Vikings at this moment stop being rivals and stand together on the field in unity. The coaches, athletic trainers, and players huddle together to show compassion and concern for each other. This is another reflection of doing the right thing when no one expects to be recognized. We will now share their video.
We talk about character a lot, and they want to recognize you for your character, so.
We're out here to acknowledge your character in action that happened on the field. So you guys are engaged in a tough game with Ashley, energy high, physicality high, and when one of your own is injured, you guys put all that rivalry aside and join together in the middle of the field, sending every kind vibe you can.
You guys coming together with the team at Hoggard in the center of the field of that kid means a lot. It meant a lot to the parents that I talked to when I talked to the Colin kids' parents. I think it's exactly what I want you guys to be learning as adults. So I wanted to kind of give a chance to talk to you guys about it, tell you how much it means to you guys growing into mature, responsible adults.
At this time, we would like to welcome up the Ashley High School representatives that are here with us. I'm pretty sure a good portion of their football team may be at practice. All right, we'd now like to welcome up the Hoggard football team, who are also at football practice. We'd also like to wish all of our athletes and teams that are in berths for the state championships good luck. So thank you all. I'm sorry, board members, can you, Ashley High School, hold up. Guess who I didn't see? Mr. Madden. Come on back up here, we're gonna get some photos. Big round of applause for both teams. Good evening. I have the pleasure of recognizing and, well, introducing to you tonight some of our new administrative hires. Some of them have already been on the job and working. We've just had schedule conflicts, but we wanted to make sure that we could introduce them and get them in front of you tonight. So first, I'd like to ask Miss Angela Jeffrey to come up. She is our new assistant principal of Roland Grice Middle School. And you can come and kind of stand right up here. Thank you. Her previous positions include being an academically and intellectually gifted teacher for New Hanover County High School and Laney High School. She served as the secondary director of student learning. She's been a principal, AIG coordinator, and middle school language arts and science teacher for Pender County Schools. So we're thrilled to have you here, Angela. I would like to ask Miss Ashley Petrie to come up, please.
She's the new assistant principal for Murrayville Elementary School, and she also has previously been an assistant principal in Surf City, but was also in New Hanover County prior to that as an instructional coach, NHCS coordinator, 4th and 5th grade teacher, and then she also was a 3rd grade teacher at CB Jennings Elementary School. So welcome back to New Hanover County. Dr. Callahan Hayes could not be here tonight, but she is the new assistant principal at Laney High School. She is also coming to us from Brunswick County, and she served there as an assistant principal for several years, and we're happy to have her here with us in New Hanover County. Let's see, Miss Dorian Barnes, if you could please come up. She is our new assistant principal of Porter's Neck Elementary School, and she's a familiar face here in New Hanover County. She was a kindergarten teacher, instructional coach, NHCS coordinator at Porter's Neck. She also did her principal internship at Roland Grice Middle School and Pine Valley Elementary School. And then her experience also includes being a kindergarten, 1st, 4th, and 5th grade teacher at Connington, Murrayville, and Pineville Elementary. So congratulations. And then Miss Andrea Sidbury. Is she here? She may not be. Nope. Oh, there you are. Come on over. We're very excited to have Miss Andrea Sidbury as our new Executive Director of Finance in the financial department. She's been there as the payroll supervisor for several years and will begin in her new position early December. So congratulations, and we're excited for you also. Thank you. All right, some more fun. So next, I also am excited to recognize 2 of our employees for excellence exemplified. So as you know, we always are able to select based on several nominations that we get from across the division, 1 teaching assistant and 1 other classified employee. So first, I'd like to ask Miss Kim Horde up to the podium, please. And you can just, stand right up here. So Miss Kim Horde is the face of Carolina Beach Elementary School. There she goes. There we go. I like it. She is always smiling. She greets students and visitors at the front desk, always remembering their names and something important about them and their family. Kim attended Carolina Beach Elementary School, as did her mother. So she is a very, very proud Sea Star. She cares deeply about the school and the Carolina Beach community. She is the volunteer coordinator, social media PR contact, and yearbook point person. Kim helps students with their morning announcements and fills in as the school nurse in a pinch. She gives out snacks or Band-Aids or hugs if needed, and that's not only for the students, from what I understand. During the holidays, she helps organize donations for all of our families in need. And those are just a few things that her principal, Miss Jen Angel, shared, but there's so many other intangibles that are hard to include. And if I remember correctly, you were also one of the very last people during the hurricane to make sure all the students got out of the building and home safely. So thank you for everything that you do, and congratulations. One more? Okay, good. Just hang out there for a minute. All right. Our next recognition is Miss Eileen Senatiempo from Murray Middle School. So she's a teaching assistant in our SDA classroom. So one of the lines that I thought was great, it said, Eileen is the Swiss Army knife of SDA. If you need coverage for a meeting, Eileen will be there. You need a student's medication given or tube feeding administered, she's trained and ready to help. If you're losing your mind and need a tap out, Eileen will hand you a Dr. Pepper and tell you to take a walk alone. Her dedication to the students in our SDA program is truly remarkable. She knows her students well and is deeply familiar with their unique needs, which enables her to provide personalized support and advocacy on their behalf. Her unwavering commitment to do whatever it takes to help her students succeed is evident in her actions every day. Her caring demeanor and unconditional positive attitude toward her students create a nurturing environment where they feel valued and understood. She also collaborates seamlessly with her colleagues, even under the most stressful circumstances, ensuring that the students receive the highest level of care and instruction. Her ability to deliver such exceptional support to a group of students who need it the most is a testament to her dedication and passion for their success. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Next, we will have our student voice. Student voice members, come on up. Appreciate you being here.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Molly Mathis, and I'm a senior at Hanover High School. I'm one of the 5 student voice leaders of this year, and we're thrilled to introduce our plans for this year for the 2024-2025 student voice team. This summer, we planned extensively and selected our new team of ambassadors. We've already held our opening summit, where students had the opportunity to connect with board members, learn about our program, and discuss the current school environment. Tonight, we're excited to share some of our starting work.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lillian Rumpel, and I'm a senior at New Hanover High School, also serving as a new team leader this year. For those who couldn't attend, we'd like to give a brief recap on our opening summit. We met at Hanover High School, where board members Pat Bradford, Stephanie Walker, who is now a county commissioner, so congratulations, and Hugh McManus joined us. Thank you for the support and the valuable conversations that we shared. Students participated in icebreakers, team building exercises, and in-depth discussions on the history and goals of Student Voice Initiative. We began talking about current issues in our schools and brainstorming potential solutions, setting a strong foundation for the future.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Krish Mishra, and I'm a senior at John D. Hoggard High School, also one of the co-leads of the Student Voice program. This year, we focused on gathering diverse perspectives from across our county schools. At the opening summit, we had meaningful discussions about what's working well in our schools and areas we could improve. Our main goals include fostering confidence in our members to speak on behalf of their peers, developing solid research skills for our projects, and ultimately presenting practical solutions to the board. We're excited to represent the voices of our students across New Hanover County and look forward to making an impact.
Moving forward, our leadership team is here to support the new ambassadors as they bring their perspectives on the issues affecting their schools. We've already begun brainstorming key topics to explore this year, and we're grateful for the opportunity to amplify student voice in our community. Thank you for your time and support. We're looking forward to working with our current board members, and we are excited to meet our new ones as well. We also deeply appreciate the support that Julie Varnum has provided, and we are thrilled to collaborate with her throughout the school year. We've already met with our current team last week, and we have another meeting next week, and we'll be introducing them shortly.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any comments or questions? Ms. Walker? I just looked over here. I don't know why.
I didn't prepare a statement, but I always have something really nice to say about you guys because I'm very impressed with what you guys are doing. And I love the fact that you're being able to participate in the process and all the things that we do. That's going to prepare you for so many things. You know, what I've learned over this 4 years that politics is very interesting, but it's necessary. And we have to figure out how we can communicate with each other. And I'm so excited for you guys in the future. So well done.
Mr. McManus?
Cannot be more proud of what y'all have done and what you're trying to do. I've always believed, even when I was principal, that student voice is very important to listen. Can't always agree, but we do listen. And you need to make sure you put forth that when everybody's gone. I hope that down the road we can also involve students in some committees, not as a voting member, but someone who can sit in the committee. And that's when we do that, then we'll get more information from you, what we can do a better job of up here. Well, I won't be able to do that. You won't, but hopefully the new board will. So you have my utmost support.
Thank you. Ms. Bradford?
I appreciate you having us to your kickoff meeting. It was very, very insightful. I took notes and I've turned them in. And so we appreciate you having us involved that way. It was excellent.
Ms. Barnhart?
Thank you. I apologize for not being able to attend. My schedule didn't allow it for this time around, but I would love, there was an email chain previously with the different student ambassadors, so if we get looped on that, just so we have all your guys' email and be able to have that direct line of communication, that'd be great. Thank you for what you're doing.
And I would just like to echo what everyone has said, but also keep up the good work. I mean, keep raising the bar, keep challenging us, and I mean in a positive way, please in a positive way, but you know, just bring up great new ideas that we can work on, we can work together, and please continue to invite us to your meetings. We'd love to be part of that. So thank you so much. Thank you. And next we will have our
Mr. Wildebohr,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Wildebohr, my hand is up.
Oh, I don't know that, but okay, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, Ms. Craybill.
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to also say, you know, how disappointed I was that I wasn't able to be at your summit. This is the first one I've missed, but I did get updates from several students and from your student ally or accomplice, you know, Ms. Harper. So I appreciate that. And I would like to echo the other board members' thoughts. If you could keep us, you know, posted on like what you're doing, your notes and things like that, so that we can be better prepared to support you when the time comes. And I would also like to ask fellow board members if we attend and take notes that they're shared with each of us, so that we can feel like we were there and can, you know, support in other ways. So I would appreciate seeing Ms. Bradford's notes, whoever she turned those into. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good job. Next, we are very fortunate to have our teacher voice, Ms. Pennegar from, I believe that's how you say it, from Ashley High School. She's a CTE teacher and our new esports coach. She'll be sharing the impact of esports on her students. And thank you for being here. Let's say your name properly.
It's Pennegar, but that's okay.
Pennegar? Okay, well, close.
Either
I'm
way,
sorry.
I go by whatever, as long as it's something
We
nice.
appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. Like you said, I'm Amanda Pennegar. I'm here to talk about all of our esports, but specifically about Ashley High School esports. But before I do, it's been nice being here, seeing all the recognitions and all these things. It really does take a village, and it's nice to see the interconnectivity between everything. In fact, Miss Rumball, her husband is the esports coach at New Hanover High School. So before they left, I razzed him a little bit about how we beat them last match. So, okay, so I don't know how to work this thing. Let's see if this works. Y'all might have to help me. I don't know. Sorry. Okay, sorry. So our teams that we do have are from New Hanover High School, Hoggard High School, Laney. That little Sea Dragon is actually from the CTech Sea Dragons esports team. And of course, if you'll click one more time, we have the Ashley esports team. I had to make them go over everything else. Thank you. And also, I just want to give a shout out to all of our Ashley teams. Tonight, they're in the second playoff team round for soccer. And of course, the football team was here. They played their first round of playoffs this Friday. And we had flag football that won their playoff first round with state. So go Ashley, yay. So a little bit about me, if you'll click it one more time. Sorry. A little bit about me. I've been teaching for 2 decades in North Carolina public schools. I just wanted to tout that out there because I've taught everything from theater to freshman English to broadcast journalism to Adobe designs. I have an issue with saying no, I guess, to things even from coming here tonight because I'm also teaching driver's ed and I'm the prom coordinator. And so in my spare time, I do esports. Thank you. Will you click it? Sorry. Thanks. So for those of you who don't know what esports is electronic gaming that spectators come and watch, and kids just love, I don't know why, because I don't really understand it, but kids love watching people on YouTube game and things like that. If anybody has any middle schoolers, I'm sure they are well aware. But in our esports teams, we're not just a club, we are a team where we get together. We actually have our competitions each week on Wednesday nights. And while traditional sports have the basic infrastructure and fan base, esports is continually growing. We're becoming such a big industry. Colleges and universities are starting clubs and programs. CFCC just started a game simulation and developer program. UNCW has a huge esports growing team over there. And in fact, I just want to point out to you that UNC Charlotte, for example, used to have a football club that now they have a football team that also had our Ashley High School alum, Alex Highsmith, play for. So I just think that this is just such a great opportunity where traditional sports have these athletic students that have already kind of a sense of belonging. This is our time for students that maybe aren't very physically athletic to come forward and have a place. If you could click it forward. As you can see in these pictures, actually the larger picture is from New York City. That is an esports competition. They had about 11,000 people at that arena, and that's just amazing to me. Now, we're not quite there with New Hanover County Schools esports yet. Go forward one more time. This is a collection of photos that it's from Hoggard, from my classroom at Ashley, and from the Spark Lab at CTech. I didn't get any pictures at New Hanover, but as you can see, there's lots of goings on. There are several. We're actually going to play our tournament here in this room. So there will be kids playing Mario Kart and other things while they're here, which I think is pretty fascinating. But these kids, if you can move forward one more time. Oh, and these are the games that we play, in case you don't know. The board approved them. We play Rocket League, Brawlhalla, Mario Kart, Madden 2025. I've been teasing our football coaches that I'm a football coach now, too. And Super Smash Brothers, which is kind of like a cool fight game with Mario and Luigi and other characters. Thank you. Now, these are the reasons why I'm really here. Teaching, like I said, for 2 decades, I think I can teach anything to anybody, to be honest with you. But I think the real thing that the students are learning are critical thinking, problem-solving skills, leadership, communication, discipline, I was actually in sportsmanship where students are always shaking hands and greeting each other. These are students sometimes that have issues coming out of their shell a little bit. They're a little shyer. I was talking to a parent not too long ago about a student who, I've had him for a couple of years, great kid, but he's very quiet, reserved in class. He doesn't speak a lot, doesn't really even smile a lot. But he beamed at this tournament that we had and kept talking and was just so excited. And it really is a place of belonging and a safe space. So it's great. If you could click it forward one more time. Thank you. And I really think that that's the important part of what I'm doing with esports at Ashley High School. And you could click it forward one more time. We are also adding diversity. Again, these are not necessarily athletic students. They might just be gamers or they're interested in it. One of my students in the picture there actually was talking about how now she's becoming closer with her parents because they're practicing Mario Kart at home. I'm proud of all my girls that come into the groups because there's not a lot of girls gaming, but and that's why I'm also proud to be their coach. And just a little tout of our record, we started off with like 4 students last year at Ashley. We were a very small runt of a team. We have built our program up a little bit. We have at least 15 kids that come every day to practice and every week to do the tournaments or the matches. And we almost beat Hoggard not too long ago. I jokingly said to Miss Toothman at C-Tech, they looked like they were going to cry when we almost beat them because they've been playing for quite a while and are pretty good. But we did beat New Hanover our last match, so I was happy to kind of razz Mr. Rumbo about that. But any questions, comments, concerns?
Any questions, comments, or concerns? Ms. Mason?
I love this. I have 2 boys at home who play video games. I saw the list. Are there any other games that are going to be added at any point, or is there a particular reason that those were chosen?
I wasn't in the original deciding factor of the games, but they're just great kind of competitor games. I know I have students all the time that want to add Minecraft or other things, and I'm like, well, how do you compete on that? I don't know. So we are constantly getting requests from students, most certainly, and I always put the blame on the board. I say, oh, that's not board approved. Sorry, write to the school board, you know. Just because they like playing violent games sometimes. I'm like, but I love these Mario Kart and Smash Brother games. They're fun.
Mr. McManus?
Your energy and your ability to present and just jumble it all up and make it sound so uniquely not only important, but successful and inviting.
Well, thank you. Well,
can we clone you?
This is teaching, you have to present, I compared teaching one time to somebody that didn't know anything about teaching, and I said, well, imagine yourself up for 8 hours standing and presenting in front of people that don't really care what you're saying the whole time. And I tell my students all the time, I am here to entertain myself. So I teach them, and I have fun doing it.
I feel really comfortable that they pay attention.
Thank you.
Look forward to your class.
I have to say, I have some great students, so thank you.
Ms. Bradford?
Thank you for your presentation. I was doing dishes or something, and Elon Musk was being interviewed in the other room on the TV, and he was talking about that your proficiency in gaming is going to be that resume item that gets you the job because of the critical thinking and so on. So I know you know that information. Can you just address it for a second?
It's funny that you say that. So I teach a game art and design class as well at Ashley. And I always make them watch this TED Talk at the beginning of the year and afterwards say, go home and tell your parents you need to play more video games. And we always laugh about that. But they actually have said that you become a savant at something if you practice 10,000 hours of that. And so I think it's crazy to say play more video games, but if you want to get better, if you want to improve, and the same TED Talk that I've watched, they talk about solving world problems because in a world that's increasingly more or less social interaction, because, kids don't even know how to answer the telephone nowadays or to talk with somebody that's not online. I always say in my class, they're phone proficient, but they're not computer proficient. And I feel like this is a way to get them back in the doors after hours, after school, to get them involved in something that will help them become better human beings overall. So.
Thank you, Ms. Walker.
Thank you. Well, I'll just say I'm a little biased, so I always pull for Hanover, but good for y'all.
You can.
Well, and I'll say this is very cool. Like, I know Ms. Mason talked about her sons, but, my kids are in their 20s, and they do the same thing. They watch people play games on YouTube. It's part of our culture now. And I would say, as one of the original game nerds back in the 80s, I think it's something that we were happy to add because there's value there. You showed a lot of value, but also, potentially careers, like, say, resume building. And it's a part of our culture. It's going to always be there. So I'm glad that we have this program, and I'm glad you're in charge of it, even though you're a little biased. But very much appreciate you leading this program for the kids.
Thank you so much. Well, like I said, I feel like the kids really get into more gaming in my classes when I involve them in the after-school stuff too. So,
Ms. Craybill, would you like to add?
No, I just thought it was very interesting to listen to the presentation. And I have attended several of the my time on the board since we started Esports, have attended some of the competitions and the tournaments, and I find it boring to watch, but the people who are there love watching each other play, and you can just see like their movements. They're like, oh man, I'd have done that, but. And parents come and watch, so it's picking up momentum, and I'm happy that we are pursuing that, in our district.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Craybill, because I do remember you coming to the tournaments too, and the kids just like seeing everybody come and watch them. It's interesting to have these kids see their parents cheering them on, and of course, again, I don't quite get it watching people play, but it's fun to facilitate that. So thank you.
Ms. Barnhart?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to offer it up, and I bet that off-coming board members would totally agree with this, but if you ever need board versus students as just like a preliminary bonding, I think that would be hilarious.
I wouldn't mind challenging to some like 1985 Nintendo Paperboy.
I could do well on your team. No, but in all seriousness, what I'd love to hear from you, feedback from your coaches, if there's anything course level that we can help facilitate and bring into our district as well to amplify some of those critical thinking skills and stuff that you're working on in the gaming sector, we'd love to hear about those opportunities.
We just need
as well,
more Nintendo Switches.
Okay.
Dr. Barnes?
And I'd like to say I'm currently almost winning at Mario Kart with my son. So the next time a kid suffers a thumb injury, I'll put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
It's fun. Again, it's a bonding experience. So thank you so much for letting me share a little bit about esports and just our culture at Ashley.
Well, thank you very much for being here.
Thank
you very much. At this time, we'll turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Barnes.
All right, folks, we're going to try something a little new first. And what we've got for you is sort of a video highlight of the first part of the school year. So I'm going to try to do the voiceover while you're watching this. So, all right, we're a quarter of the way through the school year, and I couldn't be prouder of the incredible work happening all across our district. Our staff are dedicated. They come in every day ready to uplift one another and nurture our students. In child nutrition, we celebrated National School Lunch Week with a wonderful farm to school event at Myrtle Grove, where I joined a few adventurous middle schoolers to get a little taste of farm life up close. Meanwhile, our students have started dreaming big about their futures with post-secondary planning and college application week. Seeing them explore all the paths ahead, each one filled with possibility, reminds me of why we're here, encouraging them toward every avenue that awaits them after high school. It was an honor to welcome the North Carolina Teacher of the Year, Heather Smith, and the Southeast Regional Teacher of the Year, Nardi Roughton, and they joined us at Castle Hayne, where our very own Southeast
Region Principal of the Year, Christiane May, showed them what makes her leadership so exceptional. Christiane and her whole school community put their hearts into every child's education, and it was awesome to watch it and witness it. We're especially excited to highlight our Character in Action series, recognizing students, staff, and volunteers who embody the values that we want our students to hold. Moments like the bike giveaway, the marching band showcase, the all-county orchestra, and the Special Olympics help me see the joy on students' faces, and it just fills me with the energy that carries me forward. Every day across the district, students and staff are involved in activities that reflect their dedication, their hard work, and their amazing talents. We've been busy, and our video only captures a fraction of the stuff that we have done, but I can't wait to see what the next quarter holds for our wonderful community. So, and you'll be able to see that video online as well afterwards. So, yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
That part too, huh?
Yeah. That's good. Well, I'll just keep moving. All right, folks, that's only half, so bear with me. We've got the rest of it now. We are thrilled to announce the launch of our Western North Carolina gift drive. We've chosen to support families in Mitchell, Avery, and Yancey counties where so many have faced heartbreaking losses due to the hurricane. With the help of our students, staff, and the new Hanover County Board Resource Officer Unit of the Sheriff's Office, we're going to be gathering toys and gifts to bring joy and hope to those communities during the holidays. So we're accepting new unwrapped gifts through November 22nd, which can be dropped off at any school or in the lobby of our central office building at 6410 Carolina Beach Road. Together, we can make a difference and bring warmth to children and families in need of the season. Also, if you want to donate coats and shoes, those are also things that are needed as well. All right, October was National Principals Month, and we are beyond proud of our outstanding new Hanover County School principals. 8 of our principals ranked in the top 50% statewide, 3 ranked in the top 20% statewide, 3 in the top 15%, and 4 in the top 10%. And 1 principal was in the top 5% of growth of students in the state. So these achievements reflect the inspiring leadership and the hard work of every staff member in our buildings. Our recent literacy results are truly exciting and showcase the dedication across our district. New Hanover County Schools is among the first recipients in the state to earn the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction Science of Reading Award called Champions of Change. And we've also been identified as a promising practice district for literacy. This year, we exceeded both the state and the nation in literacy assessment averages, an achievement we've been celebrating district-wide. We've also launched our advanced teaching roles and early literacy facilitators to help continue this growth, and you're going to hear more about that in our annual accountability report. At the end of October, approximately 72 of our educators and administrators gathered in the Spencer boardroom for safe and civil schools training. It's a transformative approach to positive behavior and classroom management. This training is the foundation of our district's vision for safe, supportive schools where every student can thrive. This positive behavior model includes early interventions, whole school systems, and MTSS support within each school and district-wide. But while we're making strides, we also know that there are difficult conversations ahead of us. Every student and every staff member deserves a school environment that is 100% safe 100% of the time. While I wish I could promise that our schools are never going to experience issues like that, it's my goal that our schools, I'll say it again, are 100% safe 100% of the time. We have policies and procedures to address a lot of challenges, but some issues are going to require deeper collaboration. We need strong partnership with our county leaders, law enforcement, community officials, and judicial agencies to craft the most effective safety plans for our schools, and we are starting those conversations now. Let me be clear. Violence and disruption and weapons of any kind have no place in our school system. We will discipline to the fullest extent of the policy those who threaten the safety of our students and our staff. Our children's education and our well-being are too important, and we want to make this our top priority together. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And Ms. Bagley, I got to get with you. Boy, that was very impressive. Thank you for that video. And boy, I have nothing to show. But anyway, I do want to start my comments this evening by honoring and thanking all our veterans and active duty service members who keep us safe and put their lives on the line every day. I also want to take a moment to thank their families. We have a cousin who has 5 small children, and each time he was deployed, his wife was left alone with the 5 children, in addition to worrying about her husband. The whole family sacrifices for us. So if you are a member of the armed forces, retired, veteran, or any member of their family, please stand at this time. Thank you, thank you. I'd like to recognize everyone and thank everyone who ran for office. It takes a lot of time, money, and sacrifice to run for office. Congratulations to those who came out on top. Best of luck in your future endeavors. I also want to take time to thank my fellow board members. Now, I do understand that you have all of you have at least one more meeting, so I have not lost my time. But typically, the December meeting is kind of crazy, swearing in, saying goodbyes, and other important things. So I want to take a moment to start out by thanking Ms. Walker. Congratulations on your new position. I do truly, truly appreciate you. And your compassion for children. Thank you for being a friend. And you'll make a great county commissioner. Don't you start that message. Don't, you got me over here now. But you will make a great county commissioner, so. Mr. McManus, now it's all Mr. McManus's fault because he was the one that hired me many, many years ago. But he'll tell you about that. But I want to take just a moment to thank Mr. McManus for his wise counsel, his wisdom in tough matters, and his support for the last 4 years. Thank you, my friend. And Ms. Craybill, thank you for your hard work, your creativity, your organization. And Ms. Craybill, if you can hear me, thank you for leading the board. You told me this was a tough job, and you are 100% right. So thank you for all you've done.
Thank you, Pete. Appreciate it.
And, think about where the four of us started 4 years ago. Masks on, shots or no shots, schools closed, not really sure who to believe about this crazy pandemic thing. And where we are today, no masks, schools open and heading in the right direction. We just saw a great video about that. Academic growth and schools climate's improving. Thank you for all you have done to get the schools back on track. Now, please understand that I also want to thank Ms. Barnhart, Ms. Mason, and Ms. Bradford, and Dr. Barnes. But you're all staying, so you'll have to deal with me in the future. So I won't say a lot more about that, but also want to take a moment to thank our teachers, faculty, and our parents, and the most important people, our students. It has been a sincere honor to serve as your Board of Education Chairman the last 2 years. And lastly, I'm going to get a little teary about this also, but I would like to ask if everyone would please stand and join me in a moment of silence for Mr. Skip Watkins, a huge supporter of our school system, a former county commissioner in New Hanover County who passed away this past week. Thank you. You may be seated. We will carry on with our information. The 2023-24 New Hanover County Schools Annual Accountability Report. Come on down.
Good evening. I am Elizabeth Murray, Director of Testing and Accountability for New Hanover County Schools, and it is always my pleasure each year to share our annual accountability report. I want to echo what Mr. Wildeboer just said, that our schools are moving in the right direction, and we have a lot to celebrate this year as we review our data and think about the things that have gone well, and as we reflect, we have to think about where we were in 2018-19, and then in 19-20, we didn't have accountability because COVID cut us short. And since that time, our students nationwide have experienced what's known as learning loss, which is the reality that students lose skills and knowledge when they don't engage with them regularly. And so for a few years now, our students are re-engaging, and we're seeing those strides that our students are making. And is this working now? No? So if you'll go ahead. So some of the highlights we have to share this year are that 32 out of 40 schools that receive growth measures met or exceeded expectations. That is 80% of our schools that met or exceeded growth expectations. That is outstanding.
I'm sorry, could you give us that number again, please?
80%.
Thank you.
80%, 32 out of 40, and 50% of our schools had a school performance grade of either an A or B. That's the first time for New Hanover County Schools. This year, we saw a decrease in the number of schools designated as low performing from 7 to 6, and in just 2 years, we have reduced that number by half. In 22-23, we had 12, and we are down to 6. So that is quite an accomplishment. And 2 of our schools that have been on the low-performing schools list this year came off of the low-performing schools list. That is Williston and Snipes Elementary, and those are just incredible things to celebrate at those schools, and it has a lot to do with growth. So we're going to talk a lot about growth tonight as we move through the presentation. We'll go one more. So first of all, we want to think about and look at how we compare ourselves to measures across the state. New Hanover County Schools has historically outperformed the state on measures, including end-of-grade test in math, science, and reading, end-of-course test in biology, Math 1, English 2, Math 3. And so we can see that just before the pandemic, where New Hanover County Schools was at about 65% proficiency on those end-of-grade and end-of-course tests, and we can see the dip, and we also see the rebound. So we are getting very close to that pre-pandemic achievement, and we know that learning loss takes 4 to 5 years for recovery, so that's exactly what we're seeing is that recovery, and I expect that we will continue to see that increase. If we look at some of the specifics, if we look at our grades 3 through 8 reading, and I really like this comparison with the English 2, because we see that dip in the grades 3 through 8 reading from pre-pandemic and how we are coming back. But if we think about those children, those were the children that did not have their foundational reading skills solidified. And so they are still solidifying those skills. As compared to when we look at English 2, we're actually above our pre-pandemic proficiency. And as we think about that, our high school students, and they were in middle school at the time, they had those skills solidified. And so we're seeing a nice increase in the English 2, and I suspect we'll see that in our 3-8 reading, especially with all the initiatives that were already mentioned tonight. In math, again, we're seeing that rebound. Math 1 is an area of concern statewide. We are not seeing that increase, and again, that has a lot to do with the foundational skills. Math, a little different than reading. We don't have all those foundational and algebraic thinking skills and proportional reasoning skills solidified until students are in upper grades. And so that's what we're seeing now is students coming into the middle school and high school lacking some of those foundational math skills that previously they may have had. So we are continuing to work on Math 1. And in science, we are seeing a kind of a steady hold there, but biology, I really like to point this out. Last year, we were even with the state, and this year, we really took a nice increase in biology, and that has a lot to do with our biology teachers working together in PLCs and common assessments, and we're seeing those results from those measures. Four-year graduation rate, we see it was 2012 21, 22, and I remember this very clearly, when we had our highest graduation rate of 89.1%. Since then, it's come down a bit, and we know that the graduating class of 23, 24 were freshmen during COVID. And so we expect to continue to see some of those impacts. A lot of students learned that they could work and also go to school at home during COVID. And, unfortunately, some students, when we went back to in-person instruction, they chose that they needed to work and support their families. And so we're still seeing some of the impact of that, but we have this year, in fact, started working with graduation professional learning communities. So our high schools come together each month and talk about not just our current seniors, but we've started to focus on our sophomores and juniors and those that are already off track and things that can be done. So we are really paying attention to that cohort graduation rate. The other things that we like to do, because we're competitive, is compare ourselves to the largest districts in the state. We are the 12th largest district, and in your booklet, on page 9, you can actually see the student size, the population of each of the districts. We are the 12th largest, and we perform well when compared to those districts. When we think about our EOG subjects, we rank 4th out of those large districts, as well as in EOC. And we just talked about graduation cohort rate. We, again, expect to see, with the focus on our 10th and 11th graders, that will continue to increase. The other thing that we like to do is to take a look at how we're performing in the area. So within our surrounding counties, we outperform all of them quite significantly in our EOG subjects. That's our 3 through 8 reading, math, 5th grade science, and 8th grade science. And then just below one other district in EOC courses, and we're climbing. In fact, we're higher this year in the surrounding areas in graduation rate than we were last year. So what makes up all of these numbers? In North Carolina, we have to follow the Every Student Succeeds Act school accountability model, and that is what makes up our school performance grades. So we'll spend just a minute thinking about the things that are included in that measure. It has a lot of weight in academic achievement. In fact, 80% of a school's performance grade is based on the academic achievement on things like end of course and end of grade tests. And then 20% is focused on that growth that we've talked about. And it's been quite the topic in North Carolina that maybe we need to look at a shift in how the school performance grades are measured, because growth is what we need, especially now, to see our students making it to that proficiency. And Dr. Barnes always has a great story to tell about running. I think it is that you use when you talk about growth and how students grow at different rates, but how it takes that growth to actually get up to that mark where they need to be. So the individual components are academic achievement, which in North Carolina, we actually have 4 levels of achievement. We have achievement level 5, achievement level 4, achievement level 3, and then non-proficient. We used to have levels 2 and 1, but now they're just considered non-proficient. So in North Carolina, we look at proficiency and measure levels 3, 4, and 5. So when we talk about our performance and our performance composites, it's the percentage of test scores in the school or in the district that are above academic achievement level 3. And then again, the other part of that is growth, and that's an indication of the rate at which students learn. The expectation is that for a year's worth of growth for a year of instruction. And that is measured in the terms of exceeding the growth expectation, meeting the growth expectation, and not meeting the growth expectation. In our elementary and middle schools, the 80% achievement is focused solely on end of grade assessments and on end of course assessments. All of our middle schools have Math 1 and administer that end of course test. If you've been in education quite some time, it used to count for the high schools that those children attended. Now those scores actually count in the school performance grade for those middle schools, which they should, because that's where the teachers are and the students are, and so that does impact their school performance grade. And the other piece of that is our multilingual students' progress on the access test. So each year, our multilingual students take a test to measure their acquisition of the English language, and they have a growth expectation each year, or a marker. And so the other piece of that academic achievement is what percentage of the students are meeting that mark each year. In high school, they have a couple of different things. It's, of course, the end of course assessments in English 2, biology, Math 1, and Math 3, but it also includes the cohort graduation rate, the math course rigor rate, which is the percentage of students in grade 12 that complete Math 3. It includes the ACT as a measure of college readiness. And in North Carolina, the marker is a composite score of 19, which is the minimum requirement for entrance into the UNC system schools. And then the assessment of career readiness is the Work Keys assessment. And that is the percentage of students who are career and technical education concentrators, meaning they've taken a certain series of courses that allow them to achieve certificates and work readiness certificates and things like that. And then again, the progress of our multilanguage students. So high school's very complex, lots of pieces that fit into their accountability. And again, it's the 80% and the 20%. So what I would like to share next is the breakdown of our school performance grades compared to the state. Again, 50% of our schools had a school performance grade of an A or a B, and that's just fabulous to look at that graph and see that we're below the state in C's, D's, and F's. This year, I think we only have 2 schools that have a letter grade of F, and that's certainly a decrease as well. So we are pleased at that. Growth status. This is that important piece that allows us to see that improvement in academic achievement. If students aren't demonstrating growth, they're not moving towards that mark of proficiency. But we also think of it in terms of our higher achieving students. They are also expected to show a year's worth of growth for a year of instruction, meaning wherever they started in line, if we think about a number line from 0 to 100, they're expected to at least stay in their place in line, if not move forward in line. So growth is actually a measure that it compares students of the same abilities and achievement levels to each other. And I think that's a nice way to look at it, because we're comparing similar abilities to similar abilities and thinking about how those groups of students are progressing. Again, we are at 80% for met and exceeded, and when this publication was due, I didn't even have this measure, so Dr. Barnes doesn't even know this. We got teacher effectiveness just last Thursday, and 92.7% of our teachers met or exceeded growth. Yeah. That is
I'm sorry, I'm going to have you say that one again, too.
92.7% of our teachers met or exceeded the growth expectation. And that's just a huge indication of the level of work and dedication that our teachers are putting in. Finally, our last two slides, these are our schools that exceeded growth this past year, 16, and then finally, our low-performing schools, again, we are down in 2 years from 12 to 6, and then from last year to the 23-24 school year, we're down from 7 to 6. So part of the reason that we are seeing schools come off of this low-performing list is the growth. They may still have a letter grade of F or D, but they're exceeding the growth expectations, which means they're moving their students ahead at a faster rate than anticipated. And that's exactly what we want to see. And so we're very proud of the schools that have worked to move off of that list, and know that we're continuing to focus very much on these schools. And we had one that came back on that had been off. That's okay. The last thing I want to share with you is the booklet that you have in front of you. The second part, or the last half of that booklet, has a page for each school, so you can look at things in terms of subgroups, performance. You can kind of compare where they were pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, those kinds of things. So every school has a page there that just kind of highlights the statistics, and I'll be glad to entertain any questions or comments about the accountability model.
I'm going to start with Ms. Crable. Ms. Crable, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I am continued to be impressed by the steady progress forward that we are making. We could have put our heads down and just not acknowledged or accepted that loss was there, but we've really put our heads down and gone the extra distance. So I just wanted to thank all those 92% and the folks that are not quite at 92%, of the teachers who are putting their heart and soul into making sure that our students get what they need. So thank you for presenting that to us, because it's a good story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crable. Other board members? Ms. Barnhart?
I'm just going to just kudos again, shout out the 92.7 per teachers met or exceeding growth in our district. That is amazing.
Yes.
I know in the agenda review, we talked about ways how we can support our teachers with the curriculum of giving them flexibility and having that pacing and having those highly effective teachers in the classroom and being able to be district-wide on a video of learning from each other. And so just thank you for what you're doing, and continue. I see some teachers out there tonight, but thank you.
Ms. Bradford?
Thank you for what you're doing very much. I thank you for, I'm really glad to see that you're focusing on the attention on the younger students for the graduation. Little known fact, even though I have 2 college degrees, I was a high school dropout. And it's a very hard course to get back on track. And the younger we start, the better off we are. So thank you very much.
And I just got to say, I'm going to say the same thing we've said 3 times, but I'm going to say it a 4th time. What, 92.7? That's a great number. My goodness, that's, obviously we want 100. I had a superintendent one time said, well, 100, but 92.7 is awfully close. So, wow. Congratulations to all our board, excuse me, to all our teachers, not to us, no, not to us, I take it back.
Congratulations.
My mind's going the wrong place. To the teachers and the principals and everybody working with the teachers, the instructional coaches that support them, our central office staff that supports them, wow. I mean, 92.7, that's, yes, sir. Dr. Barnes.
I also want to acknowledge, too, that this is the work that was done last year.
Correct.
Day in, day out, the people that were here last year, the folks that led the district last year, all that work led up to where we are now. that gives us the jumping off point. What I've said to teachers who may not have met growth is I said, you didn't fail, you were just backing up to get a running start at this year. So Thomas Edison said, I didn't fail 1,000 times to make a light bulb. The light bulb was a job with 1,000 steps in it. So we're constantly learning, we're constantly growing, and all of us need to know that we're all working in the same direction. But that hard work last year led us to where we are now, which is a tough job to overcome again, but we're going to keep doing it. So,
Little steps in the right direction.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, Ms. Walker.
Oh, wait, yeah, I'll just, figured you'd have something to say. Obviously, that's very impressive. I think we must all acknowledge we have very good staff here, and teachers. I think what I like to see in here is the numbers that things are improving, especially at Freeman. And I know that's due to leadership. I also know I like to see the growth and the fact that we're going to probably see even more when they implement their, community schools model, which I'm super excited to see what they do with that. And another thing is we can look at this and go, here's where we need to focus. Because, we know we've got some really great schools and, they're all great schools, but where we can improve and where we need to focus on, when it comes to tutoring or whatever we need to give them, that's what we need to do. And that's part of the work that Task Force is doing, just to kind of drill down on what we can do as a community and come together and figure out how we can lift up our students and our staff, because, it's hard. I know, really hard, and it has been hard. And teachers have been working very hard, and we've all been stressed out over COVID, but I just think, they've taken it extra hard. Obviously nurses have too, and first responders, but, teachers especially, and it's hard right now for them. So I'm impressed, and I just think we just need to keep carrying on. I think we can. I think we can be the best school district in the state, and I hope we do get there. We will. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for bringing us good news. We always love good news. Good news is good. Carrying on with the discipline update, and I don't know if that's Julie or it says Dr. Barnes, so I'm going to go to Dr. Barnes.
a few months ago, we were asked for clarity regarding our communication with parents when long-term suspension, well, not long-term suspensions, when out-of-school suspensions are levied against behavior. So when asked for clarity, what I did is I added documentation in the, I'm going to make sure I say it correctly, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't want to call it the exact right thing, excuse me. The range of consequences in the student code of conduct. So I added language into that document. We have a principals meeting on Thursday. We're going to verify again and make my expectations as clear as I can with the principals on Thursday. So the language that was added says that parent communication is embedded throughout the range of consequences as seen through the level corrective responses in our discipline matrix. It is the expectation that parents and school personnel work collaboratively to decrease the likelihood of challenging student behaviors. Unless there is a need for an emergency removal, parents can expect contact from school administration prior to reaching the graduated response of a suspension from school. I also went in and checked specifically our K-2 out-of-school numbers, and we had less than 1% of our K-2 students have received an out-of-school suspension. At the time I documented this, there were 15 students, which means 99.72% of our K-2 students have not received that sort of discipline response. So I just wanted to provide the update. I was asked to give clarity, and I'll be doing that with our principals on Thursday.
Board members, any questions?
Sounds good.
Nope, if not, we will carry on with the discussion of legal representation. And Ms. Bradford, I think you brought this for us, so I'll let you go first.
I did. I had asked, and we all got a copy of the invoicing, so we're cut up to date there. And I just realized that when we brought our board attorneys on, we did it with the 6-month agreement, and I wanted to get some consensus from the board, and I don't like to leave people hanging. I'm in favor of continuing their agreement, and we can go through the end of the year. I didn't think it was going to be something to fight about, but I'd love to hear your opinions, because it's just, if we're going to have a change, we need to be doing that now. I don't want to change, but if we're going to have one, we need to be doing it, and that was all I was trying to bring to our attention.
And I'll speak second. I've worked very closely with Ms. Blanchard, Mr. Kromke. I think that they bring us with very wise counsel. wise legal counsel, and they are local, which is also very good, so that they are invested in our school system, invested in our school system, and I think that does mean a lot. You know, somebody from another county that comes down, or another area in the state that comes down, probably doesn't have that same level of concern for our students and our staff. So I would concur. Ms. Walker?
So this was not an argument. This was just not knowing.
Right,
and
right.
I think I will agree with you. I think I've been very happy with the job you guys have been doing, and I certainly support an extension. And I look forward to the discussion on our vote next month. I mean, I'm happy to agree with all of that. This was never an argument. This was like, hey, I don't know why it's on here. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what your intention. So that's the only thing, but it's not an argument. You guys are great.
Ms. Mason?
And just to kind of continue on, I think that Mr. Wildebohr mentioned, of course, that the local and having that investment, but not just that, from the financial standpoint, in a time when we've had to make some hard budget decisions, having them being local has been such a cost-saving measure where we don't have to pay for travel. So I think they've been doing a great job, and I'm glad.
Mr. McManus?
I agree with what everyone has said. I only have one problem, and that's one of the attorneys does not wear socks, which I think could be enhanced professionalism, maybe.
Can I see your socks?
I've been waiting to say that. You know that.
Anybody else? Ms. Craybill?
Yes, sir. Thank you for, I echo what Ms. Walker said. This wasn't intended to be an argument. It was just we need to be thinking more ahead of time with that. I've been pleased with the service that we've been provided by our attorneys, and they have accepted the challenge of the hugely exponentially steep learning curve to go from the legal practice that they're familiar with to education law. And I think they've done an exemplary job with that. So I would just I think that since we've come this far, that an official vote on December 3rd with your new board members, I think is more appropriate, so that nobody comes in and saying, these aren't my lawyers, this is not who I voted for. So I just think that we've all said our piece, and all the newly elected people are listening in on this meeting if they're not sitting there in the audience. I think we owe them the professional courtesy of allowing them to be the ones that extend that contract. That's all. And I just did want to point out that, cost savings measures, but I don't know if any of you have looked closely, but we spent $2,000-ish debating over whether we can have the Constitution pamphlets distributed to our schools. When that shouldn't have even been an issue at all if we had done it with, in a nonpartisan way. But that's $2,000, that we spent, and it would have been spent with this legal counsel or any other legal counsel.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Graybill.
Thank you for your service, gentlemen. I've appreciated your guidance.
All right. Thank you, and I guess we will be carrying that on to next month. At this point, we will turn it over to Ms. Mason, who will carry us through the call to audience. Ms. Mason.
Thank you very much. We have a short list tonight, so let's get it started. Karen Clark. Should the time be 3 minutes since there is fewer?
Less than 20.
There's less than 20, so it should be 3 minutes according to policy?
Don't have to do all three if you don't. You don't have to do all three if you don't need it.
Thank you, Dr. Barnes and School Board, for your efforts supporting our teachers and our children, for fighting the good fight. May the Lord manifest through you great wisdom, brilliant strategies, and His supernatural help. The time is now. You were made for such a time as this. I pray you cast aside personal agendas, remembering the values that got you elected. May He lead you to make decisions and enact policies that honor Him. I declare in Jesus' name the promises of Psalm 91 be fulfilled in you and our schools. Deliver us from all evil. From the rising to the setting of the sun, let your kingdom come, Jesus. Proclaim the word of God and stand upon it no matter what. I pray in every relationship you choose peace over competition. Keep them in your name, Jesus, so they will be united as one. Guard their hearts. Your word is truth, so make them holy by your truth. May they represent you in all they do. Continue to make yourself real to them, so they experience your endless love, and your love will live in them, and the world will know you. All to be joined together as one in perfect unity. I declare in Jesus' name, New Hanover County Schools is the city of light on the hill that cannot be hidden, a light to the world. Your will be done here as in heaven, King Jesus. Amen.
Veronica Sellers McLaurin Brown.
The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines shall as a verb used in laws, regulations, or directives to express what is mandatory. Therefore, it is no surprise that the principle shall appears in over 40 of the board's policies. For example, Policy 3320, the principal shall assign a staff member to be in charge of each school trip. Policy 4400, the principal shall notify parents and take all other steps required by General Statute 115C-378 for excessive unexcused absences. Policy 8220, the principal shall report to the superintendent all accepted donations of more than nominal value. In each case, the principal is mandated to perform precise duties. In each case, the principal is mandated to perform precise duties. At the July agenda meeting, Mr. McManus asked if principals call parents before suspending their child. Dr. Barnes replied, "That is our expectation. That is our expectation." For 20 consecutive months, Love Our Children has steadfastly advocated for the policy committee to integrate this expectation into short-term suspension policy 4351. The sentence could simply read, "The principal shall contact K-2 parents before a suspension determination is made." Folks, an expectation is simply a hopeful guideline, but hope does not enforce action. A policy does. No principal is required to call the parent of a 5-year-old before they kick them out of school when the decision is based on expectations and hope, and the verb that's used is expect. The concept of relying on hope for people to do the right thing in this school system should have been abandoned after the incidents of sexual abuse.
Thank you. Elizabeth Nelson.
Hi, I know and have worked closely with some of you, but to the other board members, my name is Elizabeth Nelson. I was a teacher for over 12 years, 7 of them being here in New Hanover County. I have my master's degree in education policy and leadership. I was WITN Teacher of the Week, WNCT STEM Teacher of the Month, Elementary Teacher of the Year, and I was part of that 92.7%. I tell you this just so that you can understand things. The passion that I have as an educator, but that is in the past. I left teaching this year. It was the most difficult decision of my life, and excuse me if I get emotional. I love our students. I loved my staff, and I loved my administration. What I didn't love was a constant feeling of hopelessness and the lack of support that I was experiencing as an educator. It was curated by the culture here in our district over the past few years. This year, my classroom went from 15 students to 24 students. My assistant, who was used to spending half of the day in my room supporting me and our students, is now shared between 9 teachers in 2 different grade levels. Funding is abysmal. Support is at an all-time low. And our teachers are bearing the burden of decisions that the board has made. So many of our educators are burnt out. They're overworked, they're underpaid, and yet they're shouldering this and they're pushing on because that's what they do. They're amazing people who care deeply about our students. I left teaching to help give these amazing educators a voice and to begin to try and shift this culture into one of a positive empowerment, because I know that the best thing I can do is invest in our educators as much as they invest in our students. And I hope you understand that as well. I now work for the American Federation of Teachers. We're a union growing rapidly in our district and looking to support public education in all facets. We want our educators and all staff in New Hanover County to know that we're here, and we want them to join us. We want them to feel valued, empowered, and respected as the professionals that they are. I'm here tonight to ask you and the oncoming board to work with AFT toward a collaborative and impactful future in education. Our staff, our parents, and our students deserve nothing less. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Loretta Stackhouse. Loretta Stackhouse.
When a reporter finishes interviewing somebody, they usually end by asking, "Is there anything else you'd like to add?" The reason they do this is because reporters don't always know all of the right questions to ask. They're hoping that the person they're interviewing will add some new information that is relevant or related to the topic they were discussing. At the August Board of Education meeting, Ms. Varnum gave an update on the district discipline data. Although her topic wasn't about IDEA sanctions, at the end of her presentation, she said, quote, "I do want to offer one last comment. New Hanover County Schools is no longer sanctioned for disproportionate out-of-school suspension for students with disabilities," end of quote. That would have been the time to ask her, "Is there anything else you'd like to add?" Because then she would have had an opportunity to mention that the district is still being sanctioned for the disproportionate classification of Black disabled students as emotionally disturbed. Based on her interview with WHQR in October, it would appear that Ms. Varnum feels she can only speak on her agenda topic. Is that true? Are administrators only allowed to speak about their topic listed on the agenda? Limiting what they say does not promote transparency. Consider this your monthly reminder that the system is broken. And I'd like to add, I was happy to hear about the improvements of the students and the schools. It's amazing that that happened under the fired superintendent.
Thank you. Jeanette Koshar.
On October 22nd, WHQR reported that the school district is getting training in the new Reframing Behavior program from the Crisis Prevention Institute. Ms. Varnum was quoted as saying, "It's around reframing student behavior and really digging in a little bit deeper into the neuroscience of those behaviors." She's, of course, referring to challenging behaviors. I'd like to share a story. A colleague of mine was a school nurse in Hunters Point, the poorest and most violent neighborhood in San Francisco. The problem was students were falling asleep in class. The principal asked, "What's wrong with these students?" and threatened to expel them. The nurse asked a different question: "Why is this happening?" The answer was that it was safer to sleep in school than in their homes because of frequent shootings due to drug deals gone awry and prevalent gang activity. Bullets flying through apartment windows was a nightly occurrence. This was a systematic challenge, and as Einstein said, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. This is called upstream thinking. Instead of hauling drowning people out of the river, go upstream and figure out why they keep falling or jumping in. This is where the solutions will arise. Love Our Children supports the implementation of reframing behavior. The training will help education staff understand how the brain and nervous system connect to behavior. Love Our Children looks forward to learning more about the program from Ms. Varnum and about the proposed schedule for the training and implementation. Thank you.
Barbara Garrow.
In September 2017, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools instituted a new suspension policy. It called for their superintendent to approve all out-of-school suspensions for K through 2 second grade students. About 6 months ago, 2 researchers published the findings from their study of the impact of this policy change. Here's what they found. By having the superintendent approve K through second grade suspensions, the number of suspensions decreased by 56%. They found little to no evidence of increases of K through second grade in-school suspensions. There was little to no evidence of increases in K through second grade special education placements. And they found the disparity between suspensions of black students and white students decreased by 79%. The fact that no suspension data is going to be reported by New Hanover County Schools during the coming school year due to staff reductions is a major disservice to parents, teachers, school administrators, and to the larger community. Maybe that data reporting could be handed over to researchers at UNCW or another university. I urge the school board to address this problem. The public has a right to know how many students are being suspended, and if it can't be reported monthly, there must be a way to get quarterly reports. Perhaps you consider having Dr. Barnes approve out-of-school suspensions for K through second grade students. It might reduce suspensions by half. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Axel.
Good evening. First of all, Superintendent Barnes, thank you for having the focus on discipline, because this is such an important issue, and appreciate that it's really up front on your radar. I hope you all had the chance to reflect on the school improvement plans that you voted to approve 2 weeks ago. They give you and the public a window into the goals of each school and the actions they are taking to reach them. And although I'm sure that every school has someone who is aware of the number of suspensions that have occurred in their building, we were pleased to see that 3 schools specifically included monthly tracking behavior data in their school improvement action reports. But why not more? Why only 3? Sadly, behavior data is no longer available to you and the public. We used to receive it in the Student Support Services monthly reports. Getting data on these things, like suspensions, dropouts, bullying, harassment, and EC services would help you make informed policy and budget decisions. It would also provide the public with more transparency as to what's going on in our schools. Every school uses the computerized system Educator's Handbook to record behavioral referrals to the office. So how many menus do you think it has to take to click through to download a student support services report? It shouldn't be hard, right? It should be easy. And if there's not enough student services staff, couldn't a volunteer do it? We could help you with that. The school district needs to be more transparent. Parents should have the right to review the Student Support Services monthly reports. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michael Sheridan?
Good evening. I am Dr. Michael Sheridan. I worked as an educator and social scientist for over 25 years. And I thought tonight it might be helpful to share with you some of the research that supports the use of out-of-school suspensions to improve student behavior. In fact, there is no research that supports the use of out-of-school suspensions for improving student behavior. None. Please become knowledgeable about the substantial and credible body of research that is out there that does support various non-punitive strategies, which mentioned here tonight, for managing disruptive classroom behavior, none of which identifies out-of-school suspension as an effective approach. Base your policies on evidence-based research and revise Policy 4351. End out-of-school suspensions for 5-, 6-, and 7-year-olds. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Welich?
I am proud that Love Our Children is one of the over 55 organizations in our county that partners with the new Hanover County Resilience Task Force. We support their mission of working together to prevent and respond to adverse experiences, trauma, and toxic stress through connection, education, and action. I know that some of you are familiar with the task force's work. They use the Community Resilience Model, or CREM model, to help adults and children learn to track their own nervous systems to bring their bodies back into the resilient zone where they can function as their best selves. The CREM model is based on the latest neuroscience. Last week, over 60 of our pre-K educators received CREM training from members of the task force. I recommend that you and our newly elected school board members receive the training that gives an overview of the community resilience model. Understanding how the brain reacts to fear, adversity, and trauma will inform your decision-making on suspension policies and staffing in future budgets. Finally, I invite you to attend the new Hanover County Resiliency Task Force meeting next week on Friday, November 22nd at 9 a.m. It's being held at the CAM. It will include a discussion about resiliency and policy making, and I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Katie Gates.
Good evening, Board. I want to thank you for your service this year, and thank you to Dr. Barnes for bringing a convicted and authoritative leadership in this administration. And for those who are vacating the Board, we wish you best of luck in your new endeavors. And for those remaining and soon to join, we hope and pray that you all will work together despite personal and political differences to preside in a manner that honors God, is not argumentative or self-serving, but always keeping in mind what's best and what has worked well to advance student learning and teacher support. There seems to be such positive momentum given the attention paid to the climate survey and the town hall results. A good government is a limited government, practicing temperance. Historical precedent in America shows that when citizenry operates in self-governance, abiding by the moral law, which is the 10 Commandments, and the laws of nature, there is liberty. Government protects liberties and punishes wrongdoing. The blessings of liberty are evident in the context of a moral and virtuous society, which you have the opportunity to foster. These concepts are confirmed in the North Carolina Constitution, which states that education, religion, morality, and knowledge are necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind. So I encourage you all to consider simplifying curriculum and policy to include the North Carolina constitutional mandate from Article 1, Section 35, which emphasizes a frequent recurrence to fundamental principles as absolutely necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty. So going forward, please consider the necessity of teaching and modeling fundamental principles that focus on classic academics as a priority, followed by character development, virtue, morality, and equality in all students, teaching civics in the whole history of America, good and bad, from which we have emerged a more perfect union, and finally, teaching the biblical principles that has allowed America to flourish. Since the Lemon Law was overturned in 2019, there is lots of freedom to move in this direction. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Kelly Wheat Rivers.
Good evening. I'm Reverend Kelly Wheat Rivers and a member of the Love Our Children organization. I'm also the mother of a third grader in New Hanover County, and I'm here to speak out against suspending 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. The North Carolina Foundations for Early Learning and Development says that children need nurturing and responsive relationships with trusted adults, especially our youngest learners. The relationships that children form with adults support their emotional and social development. In the same vein, the National Association for the Education of Young Children writes, "Young children thrive in the context of stable, supportive relationships with adults who love, teach, and care for them." Very fortunately, New Hanover County schools are full of educators and staff who establish nurturing relationships with children and help them to thrive. And sometimes young children make mistakes.
Sometimes they don't feel safe. Sometimes they act before they think. And yes, sometimes they can become violent. When a 5, 6, or 7-year-old is suspended from school, they are deprived of the very relationships that they need to thrive. What they need is our love and our support, not isolation and rejection. Kicking out our youngest learners from school is not okay. Create spaces in our school buildings where disruptive students can go to work on co-regulation skills with qualified staff. Spaces where these young children can be treated with the dignity and respect that they deserve, because sometimes they act like 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. Board policies must help all of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Jan Landis. Jan Landis.
By now, each of you could probably write a speech for Love Our Children because it's been 20 consecutive months. And the requests are reasonable. Adding the sentence, the principal shall contact K-2 parents before suspension determination is made, is simply putting into writing what the administration expects and what the principals say they're already doing. As a curious and caring community member, this summer I met with Ms. Barnhart so I could better understand a board member's point of view, perspective on out-of-school suspensions, and I thank you so much for that thoughtful conversation and for giving me that time. I hope the other board members will follow your lead and meet with members of Love Our Children. On another related issue, Policy 1010 states that one of the board's duties is to provide, quote, adequate and direct means for keeping citizens informed about the schools and for keeping itself informed about the wishes of the public, end quote. As a community member, I would like to know why the data for our out-of-school suspensions is no longer transparently available to the public. Requesting that suspension data be made public each month would likely take a person a few menus to click through and then posting those results on the district's website. Please consider making this data public and available to the people you serve. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Allison Childs. Allison Childs.
It's fitting that the last speaker of the night say something positive to those three, Stephanie Crabell, Hugh McManus, and Stephanie Walker, that are ending your term on the board. Wow, it must feel like stepping off a roller coaster. You're exhausted yet grateful for the ride and ready to take a moment to catch your breath before the next chapter begins. But before you embark on that next adventure, I just wanted to take a moment to express my sincere appreciation for your dedicated service. Your role is a tough, thankless role. And let's face it, everybody thinks that they can do your job better than you can. But you three have truly made a difference. Through your unwavering commitment to ensure that every student has a chance to succeed. By standing firm and doing your best, even when you're outnumbered. By personally answering countless emails and always making the time to listen. But most importantly, by visiting the schools, engaging with the staff, and helping in any way that you could. I want you all to know how much I and so many others truly appreciate the time, the energy, and the passion that you have poured into this vital work. Your impact is felt in ways that you will never fully realize. I wish you the best in your next journey. And remember, take a moment to breathe. Thank you.
And that concludes our call to the audience. What a nice way to end that one.
Yeah, it was.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Let's make sure we have 4. We have more than 4. That's great. Next, we have our consensus items.
Mr. Chair, I move that we do the consensus items, taking off
All right.
Ms. Walker. I mean, Ms., whatever your name is. Whatever my name is.
I would entertain a motion to accept all but E and F.
So
A
moved.
through L. All. Okay, we have a motion second. Any discussion? None?
Mr. Chairman, only point of discussion, we have moved M to next month, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay,
Minus.
all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. That carries 7-0. Now, I would also entertain a motion to accept items E and F.
I make that motion?
Second.
Just a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Mr. Wildebohr, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think I just understood that we were accepting all but E and F, and now we're voting on E and F?
Right, because if you remember, Ms. Mason can't vote on E and F.
Oh,
They are.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
Yep. So you're-
okay, I didn't understand. Thank you.
Thank you. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed. That carries 6-0, not 7. Okay, carrying over to policy, we will turn it over to Ms. Mason.
All right, we had discussed at the agenda review, pulling 2230 for a little bit more discussion, just so that we could kind of adjust the wording on the task force. And then I had a request to pull 2340 to add a cross-reference. So pulling 2230 and 2340, I would make a motion to approve all other policies minus 2230 and 2340.
Second.
Before we second that, I also want to pull off the Universal Committee interest form.
Okay, so which is, okay, the Universal Committee interest form also be pulled? Okay. We typically pull them for discussion, then we vote on.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so pulling, can you refresh my memory, because I got it.
So pulling 2230, 2340, and the universal interest form.
Okay. And you make a motion that we do all those rest.
Correct.
Okay, all in favor, and we have first and second on that, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? That carries 7-0. First, go ahead, Ms. Mason.
I really kind of wanted to lean on Ms. Walker. We had a discussion for 2230 regarding the verbiage for that. I'm trying to grab it. For the task force committee, there was some questions and some concerns from a few individuals about the terminology. Where is it? Short term. So we just wanted some clarification on that.
Okay. Right, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I have conferred with members of the task force, and I think the reason that was put in there originally is because by definition, a task force is not a long-term thing. But I do not obviously, I mean, to your point, I can't put in here a year or two or whatever. I think when the work is done, or when we have more, when we have, because we have goals, and when we can meet some of those goals or try and meet the majority of those goals, I think that's when it would end. But to your point, I would rather not have a time frame in there. So we could probably just take maybe put the objective of the task force is to lift the identified schools up. Just remove to be short term. I can write down, I mean, if we're trying to approve it tonight, then I can, let's see. So you're writing it down because you're good about that. The objective of the task force is to lift the identified schools. I don't like the way it's worded right here anyway. The objective of lifting the identified schools. How can you wordsmith that, Ms. Mason?
We can always send it back to policy if we need to kind of adjust it. And that way we can.
Well, and that would
Since
delay
we-
it till December. and
We
I'd rather not.
won't be appointing new committees until after the new chair is
Okay.
selected, so.
Would that be okay as far as Ms. Varnum's concerned? Because I know we had all talked about, making someone in charge, like officially, and with the guidance of the superintendent. Would that stop the work? I just don't want the work to be disrupted.
I don't
Dr.
think it's
Barnes?
going to stop the work. I mean, you've
that
been
be okay,
functioning
just to
as a
get the
task
wording correct?
force.
Okay.
I mean, this is just me speaking for me, but I would say that work would continue. This is just putting in policy. It's
Okay.
really just solidifying it.
So you think for the December meeting, we'll be able to get it done, or?
Well, we're not having a policy meeting in November due to the NCSBA.
Okay.
And Thanksgiving.
I
So-
hate to leave it where I'm okay. It's just, I hate to kind of leave that
Right.
loose.
No, I get you.
My hand is up when it's my turn.
I brought up the short term just because I wanted a definition, but I don't think it's a stumbling block that we can't get past. I mean, I'm fine with it being short term now that, we've just had a discussion on it. I don't think we have to hold it up for that unless someone else does.
Ms. Craybill?
Yes, my comments on that were, I'm sorry that I missed the policy committee meeting to put this words in, but if you look in letter C under ad hoc, sentence number 4, it says ad hoc committees are temporary and formed for a specific purpose. So, and for us to say into the turnaround task force that it is a short term, we're already going against what another part of our policy says. So I think we should consider calling it an ad hoc committee. And Ms. Bowie keeps track of all of our ad hoc committees, when they start and when they end, for historical purposes. So it makes more sense to be an ad hoc committee. To Ms. Walker's point, that's what a task force is. It's a short-term ad hoc, let's look at an issue, and then if we need to call it something else later down the road, we can. But we're already contradicting letter C by having those words in there. So I would say let's just move everything from number 10 to be, and we call the turnaround task force an ad hoc committee, and we add that to our list. And then we can approve it as it is.
No, I know it's difficult because you probably missed quite a few meetings where these discussions were had, but it's better to be.
I'm listening to it. I listen to
I have the
them.
floor, Ms. Craybill. And the reason being an advisory committee was the better way this committee can run. It's a board ad hoc committee, it's a board committee, and that's the difference. Being an advisory committee, you can have board members on it, but, it doesn't kind of like stop the work. So I appreciate the fact that she brought that up, and we have thought about that, and I think this was the better way. Like the sustainability committee, it's just more an advisory committee.
Okay, my hand's back up. Perhaps we should have our attorney weigh in on following our own policies.
Craybill, I'm sorry, Bradford has the floor.
I move that we accept policy 2230 as written.
I'll second that.
First and second, to accept it. Ms. Craybill, you had a comment?
Yes, so I have, other than my comment on the task force committee, I do have some other comments on there. In number 3 of the standing committee with policy, I suggest that we add something in there that says that we give principals a specific voice but no vote. Because we already, it says that we will have staff member in there, but this is the only committee where we have other people speaking. So I wanted to suggest that we added that in. Principals have a specific voice but no vote. Do I have the floor or is someone talking over me?
No, ma'am, you have the floor. We're listening to you.
Okay, because it's not fair for you to call me out and let other people be talking, because I can hear them
Who else
talking.
is talking, ma'am?
No one said anything.
Okay. So in number 4, in the standing committee on safety, we don't make a mention that we're having a subject matter expert on that team, and I think that we need to have a subject matter expert, either not named or from the operations department or from the student support services department, or at least named. We don't even have that in there. And then the last one is number 7 for advisory. Do we even need a Head Start committee Or should we put that in inactive status since we don't have a Head Start program happening in our school district right now?
All right, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Barnhart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would agree with my colleague about the Head Start Committee. I believe I had spoke to Ms. Mason about this a few months ago, but when we lost the Head Start grant, we were already kind of talking about how it can be a pre-K liaison because we have NC pre-K. We used to have Head Start in the local classrooms, and really we want a collaborative effort of all of our pre-K students that we're serving in the district, not just the Head Start students, and clearly now we're not. That was a rule that had to be followed for the Head Start program, so I would agree with updating that. I don't necessarily want to hold this off as listening to the discussion to my right of the other changes that are made, but I do think it needs to be readdressed so that we can better encompass how we serve our pre-K students in all the programs.
Okay, yeah, Ms. Barnhart, Ms. Bradford, excuse me.
To that discussion on the Head Start, it says Head Start, and it says we're applicable. Does that not solve your situation there in terms of when we need a Head Start board of directors, then we have one. And we don't have to come back every time because we hope to have Head Start back. Right. So why would we take it out? Because this says already addresses the issue. Or is there another issue that you want to address?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I don't believe that it does address the issue. Currently, I know that we do not have the Head Start grant, so I'm not saying to take it out, but to have a more overarching, encompassing role for pre-K in general for the district rather than a highlight in our policy that only emphasizes Head Start with the acknowledgement that we have multiple funding sources to assist our pre-K students. And so that was something that I had discussions with Ms. Smiles about when I was policy chair and liaison. And so I think it's something that we can grow as a district to better serve our students. So,
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Walker.
I would like to add on to what Ms. Barnhart said. She is correct. I think I've talked to Ms. Smiles as well about really, I guess we don't have an official Head Start, I guess, board of directors position because we don't. We hope to get that back. But to Ms. Barnhart's point about talking about all the different pre-Ks, I wonder if there's a way we can adjust that and maybe even still have a board member report on pre-K things. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Bradford.
So I'm going to stay with the motion that I made. I'd like to amend it that, I just would suggest that we put this on for policy for whenever we meet again, sometime in December, and look at that specific part, just that part. But go ahead and approve this as it's written now so it can stay out there and be what we need it to be now. And because I think the discussion on Head Start is going to take at least one meeting and quite a bit of discussion. So I would say go ahead and move forward with it because it works now, and then let's come back and look at Head Start with a really strong lens.
Okay, so we still have a motion and a second in front of us. Any other discussion? Ms. Craybill?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I want to amend her motion to accept as written with adding into the safety committee that we have a subject matter expert as named as a specific member of the committee and or the subcommittees, because we cannot make calls on the mental health and student behavior and facilities without input from some of our senior staff.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Craybill. There was a point of order raised here, so I'm going to look to my left to our counsel. Ms. Bradford made a motion, then she amended her own motion. Can we have a second amendment on that motion?
Mike's on.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little confused. She's got an amendment.
She's just amending her own motion.
Well, and she did, so I'm checking with our legal counsel on that.
It's second. It's not.
She could withdraw her own motion, so I believe
Yeah.
she could amend it.
Well, she can amend her own motion, but can somebody amend the amendment? Is it?
Just making sure.
I'm asking them, thank you.
It's not covered in the Roberts that I mean, you can have a majority vote to amend a motion.
Okay. But how many amendments can you make? I think there's a limit, but I don't remember what it was off the top of my head.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Well, we're going to vote on it. Okay, we'll leave it in place then.
So
Yes, Ms. Walker.
was there a second to Ms. Bradford's motion? or amended motion?
I don't know if there was ever the opportunity,
trying
so,
to-
okay.
Because I know there was an amendment on an amendment?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Is there a
I will
motion?
second Ms. Bradford's
Okay,
amendment.
so you're going to second that
Okay.
one there. All right, Ms. Craybill had a motion to add some verbiage. Is there a second to that? Let's take that first, and we'll move back to Ms. Bradford's amendment. Hearing none, we will carry on. Ms. Bradford, your amendment, could you restate that, please, one more time? And we'll vote on that.
Maybe. I move that we approve this as written with the intent to put it back on the very next policy committee for a broad discussion on the Head Start portion of it.
Okay, and we had a second on that. So, so we're voting on the amendment, which is to approve as written with the understanding that we would carry on a broad discussion at the next policy meeting. Ms. Bowie, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Barnhart?
Yes.
Ms. Mason?
Yes.
Ms. Bradford?
Yes.
Ms. Craybill?
No.
Mr. McManus?
Yes.
Mr. Wildebohr?
Yes.
And Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, that passes 6-1. Now we're back to the original motion, which we're going to have to anyway, which is to approve as written. Ms. Bowie, would you, I'm sure it's going to be the same vote, but anyway, Ms. Bowie, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Barnhart?
Yes.
Ms. Mason?
Yes.
Ms. Bradford?
Yes.
Ms. Craybill?
No.
Mr. McManus?
Yes.
Mr. Wildebohr?
Yes.
And Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, again, passes 6-1. Ms. Mason?
And then the other policy that I wanted to pull was 2340. There was a cross-reference that we need to add, so I would like to make a motion to add the cross-reference to policy 2120.
Second.
2120, not 20, I thought you said 2340.
Right, we're adding a cross-reference.
Oh, okay, there we go.
You got it?
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Carries 7-0.
Aye, sorry.
Yes, ma'am?
Yeah.
Carries 7-0. And then we had the Universal
yes.
Committee interest form. Ms. Craybill, why don't
Yes,
you
let
start
me-
with that since you brought that up?
Okay, I'm trying to pull it up on my screen. Yeah, so when we were talking about that, when we are limiting the students on here, and I guess that's what, when we say the students are not eligible for that. So I would suggest that the students should be eligible for the Sustainability Committee, and so that, I mean, they are our future, and they have ideas on how we can be more sustainable in our school district. So I don't see why we are limiting them from being in that. I don't see why we are limiting them from being on, so maybe I'm reading it wrong, that that they are eligible for that?
Ms. Mason?
I would say because some of those are not under our purview, we don't have the say. And so the Advisory Council for Exceptional Children, we can't say one way or the other whether students are allowed because it's not run by us. The Gifted Advisory Council is not run by us. So for at least those, I know we don't have a say in whether they are or are not eligible. So that would be why I would say that they're not listed on that.
Okay, and we do have a point of order that we have reached our time limit, so we can either add additional time. I would entertain a motion to add additional time if we want to continue the conversation, or we can vote on it.
No, I'm going to lose anyway, so I'll just cede my time, and we'll let the students do their own advocating if they want to be on committees.
Okay, all right. So your motion, Ms. Mason?
I would like to make a motion to pass this so that it can be posted on the website.
Second.
First and second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, all opposed, so that passes 6-1. All right, we will continue on. Superintendent search I will start with Mr. McManus. Oh, yeah, I know, I got it. I just was looking here. I remember you, sir,
That's
very
okay.
well.
That's all right.
Mr. McManus,
That's all right.
I'll let you begin this conversation.
I know where you live.
Yes, you do, absolutely.
After very carefully listening, I think I've done a better job of that than I might have done in my previous life, but listening, evaluating the survey, I just genuinely feel like the new board will decide who's going to be the superintendent, I hope, at the end of this school year. But for consistency's sake, and for looking at all those faces over there and many more, I feel like that the stability where we are right now because of Dr. Barnes, that I would recommend that he be approved for the rest of the school year, extended his contract, so that that's consistent. Everyone knows, they know what he's going to say maybe before they get in there, but at least he's predictable, he's visible, he's accessible, and he listens. He doesn't have to agree, but he listens. And I think that's the key to success. And it's just made a big difference, and everyone, without seeking input, they just say, oh my God, I feel so much better. And so I just feel like I'd like to vote.
You make a motion?
Second. Make a motion to extend the contract.
We have a first and second. Before discussion, Dr. Barnes.
All right, so first off, I want to say that I appreciate all the support from this board, from people in the district, from people that work in the community, everything. I will say that it is easy to have a good culture in October. Have a good culture in March, and then you've really got something. This is a great time of year. We've made great strides, but it's difficult to maintain that all year long. I want to be fair to the new board members who I haven't had the chance to work with yet, and I know that the recommendation a couple of weeks ago was to have me be the superintendent. I really think it's going to take time for me to build up the same level of trust with the board members that are coming in that we have with the board members now, and I feel uncomfortable making a permanent decision without their input. I do agree that this has been a great opportunity for the district. It's been a great opportunity for me. I would like to take this board through the budget process. I'd like to take this board through the safety initiatives and some things that the team and I are working on. And I would ask the recommendation to extend this throughout the course of the school year before any kind of permanent decision gets made.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Barnhart?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had seconded so we could have the discussion at the agenda review because I think it's important. A few things. I do think out of respect for our incoming board that we need to allow that opportunity. I do respect the work that Dr. Barnes is doing. I respect the communication that we've received. I think it's been a good change of pace for everybody to be on the same page, and I value that. One of the things I just want to point out is that there was not a term cutoff when we extended him the offer as the interim superintendent. So he's not going anywhere, and I just want to point that out as well. But I think out of respect, I welcome the discussion. I value the discussion. I value your opinion, sir. And I think that he's doing a great job. I don't want to see him go anywhere, but I also think that we need to have the new board come in and also have that same sentiment so that it doesn't become a point of contention with the newcomers on the board. So because of that, if the motion that's on the table, I'm going to have to vote no for that reason, but not because I don't support the work he's doing. It's out of respect for the people coming in.
Thank you. Ms. Walker?
So I've thought a lot about this, and since the search will probably take quite a few months, and to Dr. Barnes's point about budget season, and we know what budget season's like, I personally would feel better about that. I think I've had some preliminary discussions. It makes sense to at least have, for stability purposes, a leader in charge that can help us get through that. And I think what we're talking about, the end of the school year is June, early June. I mean, it's right around the corner, y'all. Like, I just feel like there's no doubt the search will be done or discussions will be had with the new board, and I respect that. At the same time, I also feel like for stability purposes, I would like to see Dr. Barnes here at least to the end of the school year. That's how I feel about it. I've been very happy with the work Dr. Barnes has done, and I agree with everything everyone said here. Stability has been paramount for this district, and it has been so much better. I feel it has been better. I feel that in the schools it's been better. I feel it's been better just overall. So I don't feel we're disrespecting the board coming in just to offer stability to the end of the year, and I think that's not going to stop the process once they get on. I wouldn't, I'm not going to speak for any of them, but I mean, who doesn't want stability? So that's how I feel.
Ms. Craybill, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I do. Thank you for recognizing my hand. Yes, I agree with pretty much what everyone is saying, is that Dr. Barnes has done a great job in steering us in a different direction than where we have been going, and value his work, value his insight. But like Ms. Barnhart, I just think that the new board should have some say in it, and we do not have to do anything right now because he's already got a contract that has no ending point. So we don't have to make any decision right at this moment. But my other thing is, just from talking with folks at the NCSBA and some of the other selection search firms, is that if we wait to the end of the school year to get started in that, then we will not be doing the district a good service, because superintendents like to leave at the end of the school year and come in fresh and start a new school year. So if we're if we're putting aside 6 months, then we probably should be thinking about at least starting a search process prior to the end of the school year, so that we could have somebody in place in the summer before school even starts. So that's my thoughts on that.
Thank you, Ms. Craybill. Mr. Walker?
Well, I think there was not a suggestion that they wouldn't start. I mean, we have the majority sitting here. I think you agree that it will start. I just mean for stability purposes that we don't maybe do a changeover until the summer, until budget season's over. I mean, that was the only thing. I don't think it's just y'all wouldn't start. I keep saying we, it's not me.
Okay. We have a motion and a second in front of us to officially extend Dr. Barnes' contract through the end of June. Ms. Bowie, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Barnhart?
No.
Ms. Mason?
Yes.
Ms. Bradford?
Yes.
Ms. Craybill?
No.
Mr. McManus?
Yes.
Mr. Wildebohr?
Yes.
And Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, that passes 5-2.
I can say one more thing.
You may say one more thing after you shake my hand.
Just 2 points of clarification. One, it's the work that these folks are doing, that is, and the work that the teachers and the principals are doing in the schools that needs to be highlighted. I'm just the guy that gets to drive around and say hi to everybody. They're the ones that are putting the work in. And second, should have done it first. I'm sorry. The second point, I did. I wrote it down. The second point, I really want to say that I want what's best for the district, just like all of you do. And that may be me and that may not be me. And I'm perfectly comfortable with the work that we're doing. I'm also perfectly comfortable if the board decides they find someone who they feel like can take the district in the direction it needs to. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Barnes. Our next piece of old business is New Hanover High School. And it says Mr. Anderson, but I don't think it is Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Wildebohr, can I just ask a question? Did we just do something? Did we voted, right?
We did. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Yeah, I'm actually going to let Ms. Lawrence update
Lawrence.
you on...
And we have Mr. Sutton here, too.
There he is.
Why don't you come on up here so you can answer questions?
Come on, let's welcome him.
Yeah, come on in.
Come on.
He's the superstar. So thanks for having me tonight to give you an update on the progress of work that's occurring at New Hanover High School. First of all, I'm happy to report that students and staff are occupying the mobile units, so classes are being held. And I think that's working well for the campus. We've had a couple of glitches with some HVAC equipment. We're working with the vendor, the factory, on getting those repairs made. They've been pretty responsive, generally next day or next couple of days. So we're working through some of the kinks. These are brand new units, and so there are a couple of glitches that we've encountered. But that's the first bit of good news. The second bit of good news is that ahead of schedule, the contractor has completed the phase 1 repairs. Woohoo! So If you've been out to the site, you've noticed the big mound of dirt that used to be in front of the main building is no longer there. That's because the contractor has backfilled all of the area that they excavated around the perimeter of the building for the foundation stabilization. So all of that work has been done. The interior on the eastern and western walls, the temporary shoring that was put in place remains in place. That shoring will be there until the time when we're able to remove and replace the eastern and western walls. And once those walls are replaced, that temporary shoring would be removed. But now that we've completed phase 1, we are prepared to begin phase 2 once the necessary funding is received. And what we define phase 2 as is anything that's necessary to reoccupy the 16 classrooms, the offices, the main entry. Phase 2 will include, as I noted earlier, that we'll be replacing the eastern and western walls. We cannot salvage those walls. They will have to be replaced. So phase 2 will include that. Phase 2 will include repairing the south elevation wall. If you recall in my report last month, we were happy to find and learn through consultation with engineers and contractors who specialize in restoration of older buildings that we would be able to save that southern wall. We wouldn't have to replace it. So phase 2 will be, a part of phase 2 will be repairing that southern wall. Phase 2 will include replacing all of the windows on the south wall and the eastern and western flanking walls. We'll be adding structural steel columns in between each bank of windows to help support the wall. Phase 2 will include the replacement of interior finishes, so new flooring, new ceilings, new lighting, new sheetrock where we had to demolition sheetrock for phase 1. So all of that is going to be packaged in as part of phase 2. We've got some work that we'll be doing in the crawl space as well related to the first floor slab, doing some repairs to that. It's very all-encompassing. And last week, we presented to the county a cost model for what this phase 2 repair work would entail. I believe you all received a copy of that report in your memo. The total amount for the phase 2 repairs was approximately $7.6 million. The district is proposing to invest approximately 1.3, just under 1.3 million toward that total. And that makes our request from the county to be the balance, the delta between the 7.6 and the approximately 1.3 that the district has available, or we're proposing to invest through funding that includes lottery applications and budget transfers that you all approved tonight on the consent agenda. That also has to go to the county commissioners as well, but that's a part of it. We also have savings that is from the phase 1 work. Totaling all that together would be approximately 1.3 million. Then the delta becomes is 6.4 million, or just over 6.4 million that we're requesting from the county. We presented that information to the county last week. They have placed us on this information, this request for funding, on the agenda for the November 18th County Commissioners meeting. If we were to receive funding in a timeline, for example, if we were to receive funding here in the month of November or even into December, we can begin that repair work and would be for phase 2, and the schedule would allow us to reoccupy those spaces for the start of the school year 2025. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions, Ms. Barnhart?
I just want to recap what you said. So we are ahead of schedule. We saved money. We found money. So we were able to invest in this project. So we did not have to make the 7.6 ask. We are making the 6.3 ask.
Yeah.
They are voting on this Monday, because I know some of us are going to be out of town at a conference, and Dr. Barnes is going to be over there with you guys. But I think that's super important as I'm looking over at my future county commissioner over there to understand that we are in this together, this effort. So kudos to that. I think it is absolutely paramount that we are able to get this and put these kids and staff back in a place setting prior to next school year. And it sounds like that timeline is feasible. And I think we all need to share that message with our county commissioners.
Could I add one thing?
Oh, go ahead. Yes, sir.
because you're exactly right. I mean, and the team, Ms. Lawrence, they have done an excellent job. I mean, they have lived and breathed New Hanover High School for months. But the takeaway at this point is that, number one, the phase 2 work isn't as bad as we originally thought it could have been. And then, right now, there's no one on this team that feels like that these same conditions exist elsewhere within that building. We're going to have some repairs, no doubt, but they're going to be isolated, and they're going. It's not to the extent of the east and west walls. We really feel good about the work that they've done so far, what they've uncovered, and what they haven't uncovered. So we're in a much better place today than we could have been, and that we thought we might be in.
Awesome.
And to add to that, I'd also like to note that the repairs that we are making, these are all long-term repairs. There's nothing that we're doing that's a temporary measure, other than the shoring, which we're doing just to support the ends of the buildings. The foundation work that we've done, that is a long-term solution. So there's nothing that and the phase 2 repair work would also go toward a long-term solution for that campus. So it's all a worthy investment toward, that conversation of preserving this building. Everything that we're doing and we're proposing would take us in that direction.
Mr. Chair.
Bradford?
Oh, sorry.
Piggybacking on Ms. Barnhart, Eddie, and you, tell us, kind of in a nutshell, where we'll be at the end of phase 2, besides the fact the students will be in there. Where will we be in terms of looking at the future of the building? Because so many people are concerned about that. Where will we actually be? It'll be habitable, but, just give us
We will have repaired and done significant repairs, and basically, other than the plumbing, electrical, and mechanical upgrades that may need to occur in that section of the building, we will have made significant upgrades that would carry that building well into the future. The remainder of the building, we need to do a similar evaluation that we've done in these front classrooms. We need to go section by section and do the same types of things. We need to do soil analysis. We need to remove interior finishes, evaluate the condition of the walls. And as Eddie noted, and our engineers have advised, they don't see the same telltale signs of the significant structural issues that like we've seen on the east and west walls and portions of the south elevation. We aren't seeing that in the remainder of the building, but we still need to go through there for the peace of mind of all of us to know that every square inch of that building has been brought up to the highest level of functionality. We need to go in and do section by section just what we're doing right now.
I'd like to add to that if I could, because I think it's important to recognize at the end of phase 2, the building will be 100% occupied. There will be no areas closed off.
Correct.
And the second point is, at that time, we will have completed the facility condition assessment and master plan process. So we'll have much better information.
And everything that we're doing right now will be a part of informing that master plan, the master plan and that facility study. So one of the things that I think is most comforting with the investment that we're making, there's nothing wasted. It is all working us toward the end goal, whether it's our facility study and our master plan or just getting the students back into the classroom. It's money well invested, and it's all syncs together in our big picture goals.
Ms. Walker.
Thank you. Actually, you answered a really important question, because I think what I've been hearing is, before we've had this condition assessment plan done and master plan done, like people were like, is it repairable or is it not? Does it need to be torn down or doesn't it? And I think knowing that these repairs are going to be significant, I think is going to be a good thing. I guess my question would be, as you're doing this assessment over the next 6 to 9 months, are you going to are y'all going to include updates to things like the cafeteria and things like that? Because I know this is structural, this is repair and things like that, but like, there are definitely things that need to be updated as a 100-something-year-old school. Like, is that going to be included as well? So when you bring it to, I guess at some point, the school board, then the county, because they're going to probably want to know what the progress is.
Yes, in that master plan and that study, we're going to assess the condition of what's in place, but then that master plan is going to take that information to the next level of how do we improve this campus. Right. And then we'll be using that, we'll be applying cost data to what those improvements would be to that campus. So yes, the cafeteria will be a part of it. I mean, everything from the condition of locker rooms to the electrical systems, the plumbing systems, accessibility, site accessibility. It's going to be very comprehensive. It's not just structural.
No, it's good to know, because I mean, I hear things and we all hear things from other folks. I'm sorry, Melissa, I'm sorry. I just wanted to, I guess, button it up. To your point about looking at the whole electrical system and the plumbing system, and I mean, I guess maybe finding things that weren't found before. Hopefully there's nothing like, I don't know, I don't want to say the A word, which is, I'll tell you later what that is. Asbestos.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, because it's an old school. You just don't know what you're going to find sometimes. And that's, you know, to the point of that, it's not just an update. It's also, I mean, it's old. Like, there's a lot of old electrical and plumbing and stuff like that. I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around, like, how you do a project like this when you make such a major repair that you're telling us is going to be sound, you know, because the questions are out there. I mean, I've talked to plenty of alumni about these things as well, like, and people that are there that know that if you fix one thing, you might find 10 other things. It's a big involved project, you know, but I know there are a lot of people that are passionate about New Hanover High School. I've spoken to a lot of them. And I'm glad to hear that there are things that can be salvaged and it's not a complete, just to rip the whole thing down. At least I feel better about that.
Good. Are there any other questions? Ms. Craybill, have any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you for the report.
Thank you. Thank you for the good news. Thank you. We're going to carry on. I'm going to look over to my right. And next we have the IDEA resolution. Ms. Walker.
Thank you. So as you can see by the attachment, we did upload the one that the attorneys had got hold of. It is a lot different. I think when I was thinking about this process, I was thinking, and the change that was handed to me last time was, what is important here is important that we somehow can pass this in support of IDEA funding, as opposed to whatever else is in there that people don't necessarily feel good about it being in there. I much rather would just, you know, have a board that supports fully funding IDEA. And so, as you can see, it's not anywhere near I would like to make a motion that we pass this resolution.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Ms. Barnhart.
I appreciate that, and I was very taken aback, and so I do appreciate this because we do need to address this. Since this is a kind of open discussion, I do also want to put this out there because our EC population spans a huge spectrum of students that we serve, and I know that we're all very passionate about that. I'm very grateful this board just reinvested $1.128 million mainly back into our EC classrooms across the district. And so I'm very proud of that. I know that we are trying to be responsive to the needs. And I don't know, there was a call to audience member earlier tonight, and she said, the system is broken. And when I was talking with different administrators and specifically special education teachers, that's what they said about the EC funding formula. And
I'm coming.
In regards,
but if you want
to specifically,
you call our
mute
company
yourself,
and
Craybill.
ask for them if
Ms.
it's
Craybill,
okay.
can you mute
to-
yourself, please?
We muted her.
Okay, thank you.
specifically in regards to two classifications that are very, the classification of emotionally disturbed children and the classification of oppositionally defiant children. I think we can all agree on this board that dyslexia is very different from those classifications. And so the feedback to me, because what happens is those counts go into our discipline data, and those counts affect how we are allowed to be responsive to those students while meeting their direct needs and keeping the school safe. And so I don't know exactly, I support this for this funding. I don't know exactly how it looks to change it. I just wanted to openly state that this has been a concern that has come to me by different staff members, and I think it's important to bring it out there when we're talking about wanting to help adjust how systems are run. This is a concern that has been brought to the table. I don't have the permanent solution here. I know that the state, and I asked for this to be put on the agenda in the coming months, is looking at a different EC funding model. And for us as a district, we would receive more money and more flexibility of how we staff our EC department with that. So I think it's in favor of our board to discuss and ultimately for us to participate in that pilot. But I think that's something that is really hard to discuss because the focus oftentimes is on the disciplinary data that comes out of it, when the reality needs to be the focus should be on the input of what we're doing for our students, because I know that our teachers who work with these students day in and day out are doing their best to be responsive to the needs. And I think oftentimes they just get lumped in the end of, well, this was the result, therefore the assumption is staff are not doing what they're supposed to do. And I just want to put it out there saying, I know that our staff are trying their best to meet the needs of all of our students, and EC is such a broad range, so it's really hard to pinpoint that down. But I just wanted to say that in regards to this because I know it's a passion for all of us, so.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, just one last question, and I hate to put Julie on the spot, but I think you brought this up at the last agenda. One of the meetings you talked about what it should be funded at and what it is currently funded at. That bears repeating, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. I arrived ready for a pop quiz. The language in the regulations for IDEA, which we know as Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, that tells each state how IEPs need to be created, what the eligibility requirements are, the timelines, all of that. The language in the regulations says that when Congress enacted IDEA, that Congress would fund 40% of what it takes to implement to the regulations. And historically, the funding has been around 15%. The highest funding has been at 18% a few years ago. We're currently around 13%, nowhere near 40.
Thank you, Ms. Farnham. Bradford?
To that point and to Ms. Barnhart's point, we, several weeks, months, some time ago, we updated our legislative points. I would like to put this one on our legislative to the state because they're going to be in charge of this pot of money in the near future. And I think we just need to add that to our legislative agenda for our ask is, obviously the more money for the EC, but this formula, when it comes down from federal to the state level, we can address it there.
Dr. Barnes. Dr. Barnes.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Barnes.
Sorry. Just to clarify, Ashley, Ms. Sutton, and Ms. Varnum and I have been tracking. The state has considered using what's called a weighted funding formula for our special needs students, and we have determined how much that would increase our funding due to the necessities of the needs of students. Is that accurately said, ladies? So we're tracking that. We've actually talked to folks saying we'd be more than happy to pilot that if it comes to that, simply because that's the state's something they've been considering.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second to pass this resolution and send it on. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. I'll count that as 7-0. Carrying on to correspondence. Does anyone have any correspondence they'd like to share? Hearing none, we'll carry on with announcements. There will be a finance committee held on Tuesday, November 26th at 12:30 p.m. in the Board of Education Center. And the board will hold, it says not, we'll hold an agenda meeting on Monday, November 25th, 2024 at 5 p.m. I don't think we're going to do it at 5 p.m., are we?
It's 2.
I'm sorry?
2 to 5.
Oh, 2 to 5, okay, yeah, so that will not be at 5 o'clock, so you have to be here at 2. At 2 o'clock at the Board of Education, the general public will have an option to view remotely on New Hanover County School Board, NHCS TV, YouTube. Okay, yes, ma'am?
The Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, November 26th, I would like to invite all the board members to attend that meeting. It's going to be quite informational.
Okay.
And at the same time, I put on each one of your spots the, oh gosh, I've lost my language, the SOS proposal for your review.
Great, thank you. Carrying on, we will have a closed session, so I will entertain a motion to go into closed session
So moved.
pursuant to General Statute 143-318, 111 for the following purposes: to consult with the attorney in order to preserve attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the board, and to consider qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, conditions of initial employment or of an individual employed or considered for employment with the school system, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, grievance by or against any individual employee. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. We are enclosed. Did you ever get Open session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I heard that already.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Lori.
I'm still going to go with 6-0. All opposed. We are adjourned. Thank you, board members. Have a great night.
Woo, new record.
Turn out the lights. The party's over.